Welcome to the G52 podcast, your Horus Heresy safe space, a place for bullshit and bad hobby advice. So if you want to join in, like our Facebook page, Geno52 Podcast, join our Facebook group, Geno52 Podcast, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Geno52 Podcast, or drop us an email, Geno52podcast@gmail.com. Always remember, the Geno52 Podcast does contain adult humour.
Hello and welcome back to the Geno52 podcast. Back for episode number 7. Somehow we've made it this far without killing anybody. That's not a bad go. You may think we might have killed somebody because unfortunately I'm only joined by Stu tonight.
Hello, how's everyone?
I will tell you that I'd like to say I've stabbed Nick and buried him in a ditch somewhere, but unfortunately that's not true. He's he's gone off for his birthday party tonight. He's celebrating. So happy birthday, Nick. You're old, you're nearly dead, so I'm still younger than everyone.
Oh, I thought I'd heard he was in Cuba having talks about taking over from the recently deceased Fidel Castro. I think he's wearing a red cap that says "Make Cuba Great Again" or something like that. But,
yeah, so we're going to be down to 2 now, and we're probably going to be moving to Cuba in a couple of weeks to record this now, and it's going to be the Geno52 Communist cast.
I'm sure.
I tell you what,
I'm sure Nick will love that.
I can't wait to be sitting here smoking cigars in a balcony in Cuba in Havana. With cigars rolled by the thighs of virgins. That sounds pretty good to me. We might have Freddie out there with us as well, actually, then.
That's it now. He heard the word virgin and he's booking tickets.
He's just Googling Cuba and tentacles just to make sure. So, yeah, just the 2 of us tonight. We're going to try and rattle through our usual kind of news and intro section and rattle into that. And you may have seen we posted up on Facebook. We're going to try and do a bit of an intro into Horus Heresy episode today. Prospero came out. Lots of people getting into looking at the box set and looking at what we're going to do. Where to go and where to start. So me and Stu are going to hopefully try and take you through good places to start.
Absolutely. We've had loads and loads and loads of questions since I announced on Twitter and on Facebook that we were going to do it. So it's clear that there's a lot of listeners out there that will think, heard this before, we know this, we want these new people in our hobby, and I think they're listening to these podcasts and hoping to pick up some tips to help with their new toys. I remember last year when Calth came out, lots of cars put out some stuff. I think the Radio Free Isfahan guys did loads of stuff on building Calth lists and things. So, hopefully we can help out.
Yeah, and I know when I was starting to get into it, especially the time Calth dropped, it was a really good resource for me having... you get your army book and you look at all these units and think, oh, they all look cool, they look amazing. Where do I really want to start though? We're all on limited budgets somewhere, so you don't want to go out and spank loads of money on stuff that's going to be no good and going to be useless. So we're going to try and go over not just army lists and model lists, but kind of where to get started in the hobby and the whole thing in general. So hopefully it'll be quite cool.
What books do I need? What resources do I need? And stuff.
Yeah,
we'll cover that when we start that segment.
We'll give
it a proper introduction. But it'll be more than just. It won't just be what list can I build from my plastics. That might be coming up in a future episode. But it's going to be a bit more all-encompassing than that. Yeah,
so should we rattle into the usual stuff then, Stu? Should we get going?
Absolutely. So,
cool. So what have you been doing? When did we last record? When was it? Just after the 40k open day?
I think so. Has it been about 3 weeks? It feels like a longer gap than normal. I don't know why. I don't know if it was...
I don't know. God, it's just been one of those. Yeah. So what have you been up to in the last few weeks then?
What have I been up to? So... still not painting any heresy stuff, but I've nearly finished building all of my solar rocks. Well, at least my first 2,500 points. So I've finished off the second of 2 Dracosans today. And my 2-year-old was trying to help, and he was grabbing hold of the one that I completed and going beep 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 beep, pushing it around, and I was like, no, don't drop that on the floor. That resin.
That's a very expensive toy for you.
Yeah, it's very dangerous. Let him play with something with slightly tacky super glue and resin dust. It's all good for a 2-year-old.
Build him nice and strong. It will.
You heard him the other day. He's coughing away. Maybe that's what it was.
Too much resin dust in the lungs already. It's like it's going to be the next asbestos, resin dust sickness. Yes.
I'll be pleased when I find out that he's just smoking.
20 a day. 20 a day. God, thank God he's not on heresy.
Oh dear. So yeah, I've been building it. I've not been painting any of it because all my painting time has been going to commission work and to my clients. But I've been trying to get it all built. It won't be playable because most of it's all the inventory's on cork, etc. But I wanted to get to a stage where it was all done. So if I do get a spare hour here or there, I can actually do some work on it. I've got 10 Velatari to go, which I'll probably build tomorrow night. When I'm watching the TV, that's the other thing. I'm doing it when I'm watching the TV, so I've got a big board on my legs in the living room, getting resin dust everywhere. But I'm able to
really pleasing the housemate then.
She doesn't care because I do the cleaning anyway. So I've been doing it because it means that I'm getting points for sitting and spending some time with her, watching a bit of telly and things like that. I can't paint because I can't paint on my lap anymore. I need my double lamp set up and all the rest.
You get quite quickly gets beyond the point of being a little hobby, doesn't it? I mean, I think I showed you a picture the other day, didn't I? Picked up a new paint rack.
Yes.
I'm sat here looking at my paint rack now, and I reckon I've got paint rack for 200 dropper bottles, and I think I've got over 60 Games Workshop paints now. I'm looking at, I've got 8 different types of varying shades of flesh just in GW. Like, oh, Jesus Christ. As this has got way out of hand, hasn't it?
You've got 8 different shades of flesh in your scale 75 flesh set, actually. So you've got plenty more of that.
I've got nearly 20 sets of flesh to choose from.
That's probably too many.
Yeah. Do you know what? I had that realisation when... What was I painting the other day? I was painting something very simple, like a cape or something. Whereas 2 years ago it would have been a base colour and maybe a wash. I was like, I put 6 colours into this cape now. And you think this has got way out of hand now.
No, it's all good. I mean, that paint rack you showed me pictures of is really cool. Only problem I'd have is that you've got about 3 or 4 different designs of MDF paint rack now, and my OCD wouldn't allow that. They'd all have to match. All kinds of trouble with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought you were on racks before, but then you showed me a picture there. You've got quite an elegant solution just with the foam.
Yeah, I had
loads
of blue foam left. It's quite expensive stuff, really. But I used to have it from terrain building. I had a big sheet of it was sitting under the bed in my spare room for ages, and I had to clear it out. And I just cut it with a hot wire cutter into steps. It goes along the whole back of, so it's about 4 foot long. And yeah, it does the job.
Yeah, it's a really smart solution, to be fair. Like I said,
it's not movable.
When we were
over, that's the problem. When we did that painting day at Incom, and I want to do some more in the new year, that kind of thing. I want my stuff to be movable. I like the idea of picking it up on the rack, sticking it into some really useful boxes, and sticking it in the boot. So I'm probably going to get some nail varnish racks because they look like the best solution to fit all sizes. So. Yeah,
you can get perspex ones, can't you? So you have all your dropper bottles stood up, don't you?
Yeah.
They all stand up. See, I have mine lying down, and I'm not sure who's right.
Mine have all got agitators in anyway, so and those scale 75 ones, I don't think it matters which way up you have them. They need such a good.
You're still going to need to shake the shit out of them.
Yeah, it's probably better to have them on the other way up, to be honest with you. But I
don't know how much difference it makes. I was doing some scale 75 gold a couple of days ago, and I got the base colour and the highlight in one hand each, and I was sat there shaking. It looked like I was I'll say maracas because that's kiddie friendly, but yeah, it looked like I was doing some serious skiing down the slopes with shaking these, and I'm sat there going, this looks really bad. If anybody comes in now, they're really going to wonder what I'm doing.
Well, getting ready for our Cuban excursion.
I'm opening the G52 Cuban branch. I'm off. I'm gone. Yeah.
So, what about yourself? What you've been doing more than me, actually, haven't you? So, tell the listeners.
Well, I get this stick from Nick all the time, don't I? That he says I don't do anything but paint, and it's when I sit down and think, shit, I don't, do I? I'm really sad, but I've been slugging away on Project 1,000 Point build. I built my quad mortars. The infantry are almost done. If Mr. Matt Kane hadn't have made me run out and get scenery at 3:30 today, I'd have probably finished my metal gun squad, but I had to go out and get a load of scenery and stuff. Luckily, stole some scenery for Incom Gaming for Matt Kane's mega game this weekend. So the bases are washed for those. The infantry are actually done, but the bases are washed. They need finishing. The basing needs finishing, and they need a final varnish. But I've done those. I've had a really good chat with our friend Ryan Kimmel over at Radio Free Fan, and we did some serious list hammer after I sent him a list, and he went, "Yeah, you know that list's illegal." And I went, "Oh shit, that's what I've been building to for the last 3 months." So I was running a Pride of the Legion force, and it just hadn't clicked that you've got to have more units with Legion Astartes that haven't, and dedicated transports don't count to that. So of course, 4 squads with rhinos. That's and he was just sat there going, shit. So I had a little accident with Forge World the other day, and I ordered a Anvilus Dreadclaw and a Dorado, and did some list hammering, and I've got a list coming in. So I've got an Anvilus coming and a Dreadclaw coming and a Dorado coming. So I've got those to build and paint. That's my Christmas project, along with the 2 quad mortars. I've done the infantry for the quad mortars, but I haven't done the actual infantry. So I've now got a Damocles Rhino and another Rhino sat in a box where I'm not really sure what I'm doing with them yet. But what's wrong with having just piles of Forge World resin in your office, sitting around not doing anything? So I'm becoming up.
You need Santa to be checking your list, checking it twice, doesn't it? It's not the first time you've had a problem with your list, isn't it? Your introduction to podcasts on the Varangian when you reviewed your illegal list.
I generally people send me their list to review, and I'm just for events, and I'm like, do you know what? It's probably not worth me bothering, is it? Because I really don't know what I'm talking about. I say to people all the time, I took a hammering from James the other week playing a game against his brutal Iron Warriors list, and I cocked a few things up, and his list was really tough as well. And I'm sat there, and people are saying, this is what you do. You talk about heresy all the time. You're on it all the time. I'm like, yeah, just because I talk about it a lot doesn't mean I'm really fucking good at it.
So, listeners, if you play Tom, have a little look at his list. or just you win by default.
Oh, you win by default by the time I pick up my dice. It was a chat the other day. I was sat there with Duncan. We were at the club. I was taking a beating from James, and he picked my dice up and he went, "Are your dice fucked?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, you literally can't roll dice. I think I'd picked up 5 dice to roll 5 3-up saves, and I rolled 4 1s and a 2. And that was like the 3rd time he'd seen me do it that evening. And he was just like, and he was rolling my dice and getting, what you should be expecting. I picked him up and rolled him and fucked him all again. I was just like, I can't roll dice. Literally don't know how to roll dice.
Are you the kind of superstitious buy some new dice kind of person, or?
No, but I'm bad in game. I'll have a pile of dice. I'll get a handful. I'll roll those for a bit, and if they're not working, I'll put them to a side and I'll get another handful and try another set. I'm not sort of go out and buy new dice kind of person, but I get a bit superstitious when I'm not superstitious. I get annoyed with dice. I'm like, they're shit dice. I'll get another set because that makes all the difference, obviously.
So I've never been like that. I tend to like buying dice to colour code or match an army, but I don't believe in the superstitious side of things to it. I've always found that a little bit odd because the only thing I could probably go along with is dice always seem to be rolling one way or the other. They might just be something to do with the way they're manufactured. Maybe there is an issue there, but definitely nothing to do with superstition. That's just a bit weird. But we're all weird. We're gamers.
I played Duncan with his iron hands a couple of times, and we played a lot. Used to play a lot of 40k together actually, and we've seen it. We've played enough games together. You can pick up the dice and be. He'll be one game. He'll just roll so hard, and I can't do anything about it. And then the next time he'll roll. We'll come along and he can't roll for toffee, and I'm hitting everything I need all the time. The dice can come and go from you. The dice gods do laugh at you some games. And that's kind of my anti-math hammer stance as well, because we talked to Nick a lot, and he's like, yeah, but like 95% of the time you'll roll all these dice. I'm like, yeah, but you watch me. I'll pick up them 5 dice and I'll roll 5 1s. You watch me do it. I'll need a 2-up on 5 dice and I'll roll straight ones on everything.
It's because people remember the important ones as well. So over the course of the game, of course your dice have average, but you don't really think about your averages when you're rolling 20 dice to hit with bolters. You worry more about the fact that you rolled 3 1s when you're trying to save some 2-up invons on your cataphractic terminators. And I think that's the other reason why people think the dice are playing them up. But over the course of the game, obviously, it's I'm sure the averages are there if you had some someone there.
It's just those ones. This thing.
Yeah,
I was watching. What was I watching earlier? I was watching our friend David 30k channel. I was watching his new Emperor's Children versus World Eaters battle report. Really nice report, but I always spoiled it to the end, but it came down to the last few dice rolls, and yeah, those are those dice rolls are the ones you remember when the game hangs on the balance on these critical dice rolls. But for the course of the game, you've probably rolled pretty averagely across the lot. But yeah, we're all gamers, and I've been tempted to throw a dice out the window before.
Yeah, I think we've all, I've seen it as well in clubs as people launch things across the room, but I only do that with stuff at home when I'm doing DIY and the shelf falls down or something like that, or when you're trying to hammer a nail into the wall and you keep dropping the nail, that kind of stuff. That's where the rail rage comes out. I swear and turn into a big girl then, but most of the time I'm pretty well behaved.
I almost had a sense of humour failure earlier. I really almost lost my temper. I was packing up for this event. So I'm going up to see Mr. Matthew Kane tomorrow. It's Friday night as we talk now. So we're going to do our recording tonight. And I'm going to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning to drive across the country to Lincoln to see Mr. Matthew Kane and some buddies from MKA. We're going to have a big mega event, a mega game. And I was sat there tonight packing all my stuff in. And I'm working out my boxes. So I was like, right, I need to move my infantry out of my normal box into a smaller box, my old GW figure case, so that I can move the rhinos in my GW case to give me room to put my Imperial Knight in. So I'm all right, okay, I'm packing them in and everything's going in. I put a suzerain in and his arm snaps off.
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, fine, no worries. It's done that to me before. It's a particular dude. I know he's got a weak arm. So sorry, put him to the side and I'll fix him. So, right, okay, bye-bye. Right, I get the Knight, and my Imperial Knight has sat in my cabinet for 6 months. I don't think I've touched him. He's built, he's been fine all the time. So I've got to fold his chainsword and his gun in on his chest to get him in the box properly. And as I fold the chainsword in, the joint pops and all breaks apart. And this is all plastic glued in, bear in mind.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, it literally fell apart. I was like, oh, great.
GW
now I've got a suzerain.
I still reckon it's not as good as it used to be. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm sat on the floor. I've got all this scenery and all this stuff everywhere. I'm like, I'm going to really lose it in a minute because everything's falling apart and everything's breaking. But it's all packed up and it all got repaired and it's all gone back in the case now. But yeah, for those of you who've been on our Facebook on the Friday night, you've seen I've got a boot full of scenery and all kind of stuff to go up there. So I was having a bit of a stressy moment packing, and I got to that point where I was sat there and I thought, I'm going to lose my temper in a minute. I'm going to lose my temper in a minute because things are breaking on me now and I'm getting annoyed.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing loads of pictures, as I'm sure there will be, and then hearing all about it. I'm sure we'll talk to you about it at on the next episode. But it should be should be really cool to.
I shall spam some pictures. There's going to be some cool stuff. For those of you, you won't know about it. It's not an event. It's not anything going on really. Matt's kind of invited a bunch of us up to his base to recreate the Battle of Armatura. So this is Word Bearers and World Eaters versus the Ultramarines. It's essentially the fight at the end of Betrayer. Is it the end of Betrayer? No, that's Nucea. Armatura is the fight against. Bloody hell! No,
we need JP. He'll be there too.
JP's going to be screaming down the microphone at me. 40k wiki. That's all I do. I'm think Armatura is the big fight. It's either in.
Problem I've got is I've just hit probably 13 months now of going through all the books again.
That's
so they're
all
all blended into one big heresy story, really, with one or two kind of books that really stood out. But trying to remember which battles in which books sometimes will elude me.
Yeah, it's the big fight in Betrayer, which is.
Well, it's a good thing we didn't ask Tim because Tim wouldn't know because he's not read Betrayer, is he? Tim, read Betrayer. he's never going to know. He's digging his heels in, isn't he? He's just not going to have.
The more we kick, I'm gonna kickstart. I'm gonna do a Kickstarter to raise the funds to do the 30k podcast community's audio drama of Betrayer for Tim.
We should get listeners to record a couple of pages and just send us the audio file, and we can compile it all together, and you can have a community read audio version of Betrayer. That'd be awesome.
So yeah, we're going to do the Armatura fight, which is Ultramarines and World Eaters against No, Ultramarines versus Word Bearers and World Eaters, Primarchs and all kinds of stuff. I think the last time Matt said to me, I think it was either I think it might be 14,000 points on the table of stuff. It's going to be mega.
What time is this game starting? Is it still starting?
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
You're going to be doing that. You're going to be thinking, I've got to leave for work Monday morning now. That's
Well, I did mention to Matt. I said, when I'm planning my events, we normally allow an hour 1,000 points. So if we're starting at 14,000 points, I mean that is 6 weeks. What's that? Oh shit! Bad maths, dude. What's half of 14? 7. 7,000 points aside. 7 hours starting at 3. It's going to be a late finish.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't be too bad.
Right. It's not like you've been up at 6 o'clock in the morning to drive there or anything. You'll be fine. You won't be tired at all. No, you'll have like, so much fun. You won't. It's one of those things you won't feel tired until you
I know, but it's going to be.
And then you'll be out like a light, which is it'll be cool.
So I've just got to put my Ultramarines. I'm quite proud of for me, but I'm going to put my Ultramarines down next to Matt's Golden Demon winning Ultramarines, and Andy Wardle's models are going to be up there. So the Slayer Sword winning models.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. I'm going to be sat there going, I quite like mine, but yours are quite good. So it's going to be really good fun. But yeah, I'm up there. So. Yeah.
Well, make sure there's loads. I'm stuck at a 1-year-old's birthday party tomorrow afternoon, so I'm gonna need some pictures to keep me going. So make sure.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take my phone, and obviously I'll spam pictures for everybody up on the show pages and stuff. But I've actually dug out my proper camera. I did a degree in photography many years ago, so I'm gonna take my proper camera with me and take some really nice photos. So probably later in the week or so, I'll probably hopefully put out, a nice post with some really cool looking pictures on there, some really good looking armies and stuff. So should hopefully be pretty good. But yeah, that's what I've been up to really. So it's been pretty good. Should we have a look at what's new then?
Yeah. So you're thinking what's new out of Forge World first, I suppose. Let's.
Yeah, I'm gonna do what Mike did the other day on the Age of Darkness.
Just open up the
I'm on the
page.
New page.
Yeah, what you want to do is make sure you tick pre-orders and new releases, and you'll have all the info you need.
Just literally click the new tab. New tab. So
there's not been a lot, is there? I think stuff we've already seen has gone up for pre-order, so it doesn't feel so new because we saw it at the 40k open day. So we got the.
Have we had the Macro Carried Explorator last episode? I don't think we had. I think we'd had the Imperial Nightheads, hadn't we?
Yeah, I can't remember, to be honest with you. We listened to so many casts, so you don't know what you said and what you've heard. But I mean, that's
the Thundercat hose there, isn't it? The Thunder tank, the Thundercat tank, Thundercat.
It's out in the wild, isn't it? I think Brendan was put some in the chat today in our podcast chat. I'm sure he's had a big order from Forge World. I think some of those might be in that package.
I know. Last I saw, he got some Voltarax.
Okay.
He got some Voltarax, but I wouldn't be surprised. But I've been a little out of the loop on the podcast chat today for the last few days, just due to being absolutely insanely busy at work. But what else we got? Emperor's Children Phoenix Power Spears. Yep. They look pretty cool. Nice to see them. Death Guard Power Size. Pretty nice. Oh shit, because where are my special Ultramarines breach and shields? I couldn't give a fuck about these. Where are the proper? Get some proper Legion armaments out there.
It's nice to see them.
No, they look really cool.
But these are all stuff that was at the opening day.
Yeah, we saw these in the flesh, didn't we? At the open day. God, when was that? When we started this crap, wasn't it?
Was it Feb or was it after that? Wasn't it? Was it March?
No, Feb's weekender. Open day. I want to say May for some reason.
Yeah, you might be right.
Somewhere around there. But yeah, so we saw them a while ago. I haven't. Legio Custodes transfer sheet. I actually haven't had a good look at these.
That's people have been asking about that a couple of days ago. Was that today? That one, I think it was.
Yeah, this time into today's stuff, the Legio Custodes.
I think those
stuff. Yeah, really nice looking.
And then the big book bundles are all today as well, which makes me wonder whether. This would have been book 7 release day.
This would have been book 7 release day. Yeah,
put up some old books. No one will notice. But
I did see our good friend Carl from Studio Dropship posted a little picture today, going, "Oops, I've had an accident in Forge World. I've ordered the Horus Heresy collection for £388." Is that actually a saving on those books?
I haven't worked that one out. There are on the other bundles. They seem quite good.
Book 1 to
the book 1 to 3 bundles only 167 quid. So there's some good savings there.
That.
Yeah, well,
388 quid divided by 6 books, £65 a book. Well, that's pretty good actually.
There's some good savings.
That's £10 off a book potentially. So 60, 70 quid off. That's pretty good actually.
The books, the 1 to 3 bundle is 167 for 3. So that's only 56 quid.
55, yeah, just 55, 56 quid each.
So that's really good as well. Good. So
I've still got Chip's book one and 2, and I'm hoping he's not gonna notice that still haven't come back yet.
Well, you know, if you want to buy them off him, they're not worth as much now because of that. You know,
they're invalidated.
20 quid each, bargain. He'll be fine. He won't mind.
Yeah, 66 quid for books 1 to 5. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's really good. Really good.
Unfortunately, though, the book bundle I need is 1 to 4. And that's the only bundle that isn't there.
Yeah.
They do 1 to 5, 1 to 3, or 4 and 5. Oh, I've got 5. I need 1 to 4. Damn it, Forge World.
Have they dropped the prices on them anyway? Or maybe they will be in the new year. Maybe they're realising that books 1 to 3 now, that because the rules aren't really valid anymore, that they need to drop the prices on them. As much as they're nice, big, expensive tomes, they need to.
Well, the thing is, so they've got value in the campaigns and stuff though as well.
I'm not saying there's not value in the book. I think just as a fluff thing, or to have it as part of a collection.
But 1, 2, and 3
the rules aren't valid, and they're you know, God knows how many years old. Things tend to come down in price after a little while, don't they?
Book 1, 2, and 3 are still showing on the Forge World store at 74 quid each.
So that bundle then is that bundle for 167 is awesome. And if it wasn't Christmas...
That's, 10 quid off a book.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really, really good. So even if you get a couple of mates together and share the packs, would be the way to go.
Yeah.
But
maybe if I hadn't spunked all that money on the Dreadclaw and a Dorado, I might...
Maybe if you could write a legal list, you'd have some money to...
Look, I'm just paying for my own mistake. Oh, I did get into trouble, though, with Mr. Kane again. I was pooing on his fun the other day. He was... we were sorting out what we're doing with these armies, and he's got a Thunderhawk, and he was like, I can put these units in together. I was like, yeah, I can do that. He's like, and I got 10 left over, so I can put a Leviathan in the back of a Thunderhawk. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. So I said, I don't think you can. He was like, yeah, you can. So I went and looked at the rules. Stormbird, you can put any dreadnought of any type in there and count as 10. Thunderhawk, you can actually only put Legion dreads in it. Right. So you can't even put Contemptors in it. Nothing. Okay. It's just literally Legion box dreads.
Because they stack up really nicely.
Yeah, they fit in the slot in the boxy hole nicely. But yeah, so this was after about an hour of me saying, no, Matt, you can't do that. No, Matt, you can't do that with that unit. No, Matt, you can't do that unit. He just went, oh, for fuck's sake, what can I do? Sorry, Matt. I'm killing your hobby buzz here. So, yeah, I mean that's all that's been new out from the Forge lately, hasn't it? But
Black Library's starting to release their advent calendar stuff, aren't they? So we had
what was the one today? I quite looked at it and thought,
Perpetual, I think it's called. I haven't bought it, but I probably should do. The danger is if I start buying them, then I want them all, and then by the end of the month, you've realised you spent sort of 40, 50 quid, and the wife wouldn't look very kindly on that at this time of the year. But that one interests me. It's like,
do you know what? Petrol, it's £2. I'm going to buy it now. Bollocks to it. Screw the wife.
$2.99, isn't it?
$2.99. I'm going to go for it. Look at me, I'm a wild man.
Well, that's your.
I bought
your
my
breakfast gone down for tomorrow. You've spent that money now. You won't be allowed it.
Oh no. I should go take it out of my budget for the month and my pocket money. Do you know what? To be fair, I bought. I'm really impressed with it. Oh shit! I need my card details. Oh bollocks!
Right, maybe do that one when we're
not live on the record. I'll just read out my card number, my address, my. But yeah, I bought Master of Mankind when it was released from the audio release, and I was really impressed with the way I've never, just sounds odd, I've never bought something direct from Black Library. I'm quite lazy. When I bought ebooks and stuff before, I've got an iPad, so I tend to buy it through that store just because I don't know. But I happen to be sat in front of the computer, So I just went, oh, I'll just order that, no problems. I'll do it while I'm here. Really slick the way it downloaded, and it's saved in your digital section, so you don't actually need, as long as you keep your account details, you don't need to keep it stored on your computer as well. You can just re-download it every time, which is good. But yeah, no Master of Mankind spoilers, but Stu, seriously, get your fucking finger out and get onto it.
Yeah, I need to. Well, I think the problem I've got is I think I really want to read Korax because it's before it, even though it makes no difference because of where the stories are set and it's compilation, blah blah blah. But I've got the audio for Master of Mankind, but I've only got the normal reading for Korax, so I probably need to go and get the audio for Korax, blitz through that while I'm working, because I struggle to read in the evenings. It's time I got the son to bed and I've cooked dinner and play the. I'm going to insert slow violin music behind this. It's by the time I get to bed, I can't read. I just can't concentrate. So I tend to watch YouTube. So I'll be watching like half an hour's worth of 30K channel. Little plug there for David. But before I go to sleep, and that's all I can do. So I do struggle with reading at the moment, just because I'm too tired. Yeah. But I'm going to need to, because I need to read Master of Mankind before someone spoils it. Before Nick spoils it, I should say someone. If we say someone, it means Nick generally. He doesn't mean to, but he's so excited about it.
No, he's very excited, and to be honest, I'm really struggling not to go, oh my god, what about this, because it is. Aaron Dempsey-Crowder has smashed it out of the park. It is an amazing book. It's not what I expected when I put it together in terms of how it's constructed and the way the story's told, but it does give you everything you want from it, if you know what I mean. You get the things you want from the book, and the insight you want from it, but it's not necessarily told from the way it sort of you would have first thought when you said, oh, it's a book about the Emperor. Yeah. But it is awesome, and it's really cool, and it's added a huge depth to a load of things, and so some really interesting characters that are known in the lore, but not much about them get expanded on, and it's really cool. I really enjoyed that book. So yeah, get your finger out so we can talk about that.
It's groundbreaking, isn't it? Not just in the context of the 30K universe, in the context of Warhammer in general. It's a character that's not really been dealt with other than almost myth and legend. It's very
Well, in 40K, he is a myth and a legend. He has not been seen for, and even in the Heresy, when he does walk among the people, he is still, you think about how many legions. There's 18 legions. Say, I know this is not right, but average 100,000 Space Marines in every legion. There's 1.8 million Space Marines. They talk a lot about Space Marines. Some Space Marines have never seen the Emperor. I mean, some of them have very, very rarely met their own Primarch. So, even when he walks amongst us, he is, he's still quite a mythological and legendary character. So, no, it was fantastic, and the expansion on other stuff, and I rattled through it in the car. So I listened to an audiobook. So I think I mentioned this a couple of times. I was talking to Sean from CZ Initiative as well about this. Like, I'm like you. I don't get the time to sit down and read. If I get 15 minutes in bed before I fall asleep because I'm exhausted, I've done well. But I tend to drive maybe 1,000 miles a month for work quite regularly. So I've got the audiobooks in the car now, and I can smash through an audiobook in a week now, which is fantastic, and it's a really enjoyable way for me to sort of kill time in the car when I'm driving 2 hours, and I can really get into a book and enjoy it.
I totally get. I mean, I work painting all day Monday and Tuesday, so that's my kind of 2 8-9 hour days, and so I can get through a book just in those 2 days. But it's listening to all the other things that you need to as well. Well, not need to, want to. A podcast. There's so many podcasts, which we'll come on to in a minute because there's another new one. But there's so many podcasts out there that I want to listen to, that I tend to want to listen to those. So I need everyone to take a week off so they can not release any podcasts. So I can catch up on some audiobooks and then go back to the podcast again. I will listen to it soon. I may well just give in and crank it on Monday when I go to work and see if I can blast through it. So we got something to talk about other than
I think given the scale of it, it's kind of in the similar vein to Angels of Caliban and Praetorian Dawn, that I wouldn't want to be the podcast who necessarily spoiled it. So I would put an embargo on it.
No,
for
I
a
don't
few
mean on the
months.
cast. We're not going to be talking about it on the cast.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's such a good book and it's really enjoyable, and like it's enjoyable because it's new to you. I think if I'd have found out everything that was going on, it kind of would lose the fun a little bit. So that's what we want to do. We don't necessarily want to be the spoilers. I know Jens and Linus. If you want to hear the spoilers, Jens and Linus over the Northern Heresy, they don't give two monkeys. They'll just talk about what they want to talk about. So, they are. And I know Chris from the Vangarian is basically exploding because Sean were chatting about books, and he was he was a fair few behind, and he said, I've got to do Master of Mankind now because if I don't, somebody's going to spoil it. Chris is going to explode if he doesn't talk about it soon. So, yeah, our big podcast chat, he was like, yeah, I'm just going to get on and read it because otherwise I'm going to find out about it.
I suppose while we're talking about Black Library, we might as well also mention that they've just announced that it's available on Kindle. So they've put about 200.
Yeah, that was cool.
I think they started off with 200 odd titles, which is obviously not all of them, but a vast majority of the most popular ones. Amazing step forward. Really, really huge to be able to get. I mean, I am a Kindle user. It was always really annoying if you wanted to put your stuff on your Kindle, to have to download it on the computer, plug the Kindle in, choose the right file, upload it. It's not hard. I'm just being lazy. But when you're used to using iPads and things, do what you did and just download it straight into iBooks.
Yeah.
The thing is, that's not as future proof as buying it on Kindle or buying it as a file, because if you decide not to have Apple related products in the future, you can't read the books you've bought. So I've tried not to buy stuff directly, books that is, directly
straight from the store.
Yeah, I do with music because you can decode that. I don't know how you do it for books and things. I don't think you can. Someone's going to send an email now and tell us how easy it is. But I think being able to be available directly on Kindle is awesome. So that's. Hopefully we'll see some of the discount that Amazon can pass on to customers by them being so big as well. We don't know that yet, but if we start seeing them a little bit cheaper, it would be awesome. And then I'm an Audible subscriber, and I know there's nothing announced there, but it gives me hope that maybe in the future that we could see Black Library books on Audible. And I pay $7.99 a month for one book, and that's you can up the subscription and get more. But if you can get a £30 audiobook for $7.99 and because of the amount of money and the amount of titles that Amazon are buying, GW is still getting their full whack for it, and you're getting it on your subscription rate. Awesome, would be amazing. We're not there yet, but hopefully that's something that we might see in the future. It's nice to see GW getting out to the mainstream as well, because they're going to pick up a lot of people that haven't read their stuff because they use Kindle.
Yeah.
It might be someone that's not played any gaming or done anything for 20, 30 years and think, I used to play Space Marines. Oh, look, Space Marines have popped up on my Kindle.
Yeah.
I'm going to read one of them. Horus Heresy. I didn't know there was anything to do with that. I remember that when I used to read my Road Trader book. They talked about that. Oh, look at this. There's a story about it. Let's read it. You never know. I think they're tapping into a market that they might not have reached otherwise.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how it happened for me, getting back into it. The first step I took was I played the Space Marine game that was on PlayStation 3. Because I saw it and was like, I remember playing Space Marines as a kid. Oh, this is quite cool. Enjoyed the video game, and it just kind of rekindled that interest. And then I got a couple of Black Library books, and then it sort of built to a model, and bum, 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 bum. But, I mean, I am denied about buying a Kindle for a long time, and one of the things that put me off that was there were no GW books on there. I thought, I didn't want to buy it just to read GW, but I thought, I do read a lot of them, and I don't really want two devices, one to have to read one and one to read the others. And it stopped me buying one. The same with Audible. And I know my wife's got an Audible subscription and she listens to it all the time and she uses it all the time. But for me, the main stuff I want to listen to is not on there. It's kind of counterintuitive for me to be buying audiobooks from GW and paying a subscription. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be a big fan of Black Library on Audible as well. So, yeah, that was really cool. I like that. That was, like you said, I think it's good to see GW starting to go, well, let's interact with these other markets and not worry about, getting the direct sales all the time.
Absolutely. It just makes sense. And once you run out of Heresy books, because they're slowing down a bit now, get an audio subscription and listen to Dresden Files. They're awesome and they're really well done. Very non-Heresy there, but a little tip for you guys. Dresden
Little tip.
Awesome. Anyway. So what we got next? So there's a new podcast, another new podcast. Seems to be announcing them every episode at the moment.
Well, yeah, which is awesome. The the global heresy conspiracy grows. Should we give them their proper name, or should we give them the name they've given themselves because somebody can't type?
I think we'll let them off the spelling because English isn't their first language.
Yeah, the powerful Swedes have joined in. It's Don't Lose Your Head podcast. But I think if you do you have to search for Don't Loose Your Head to find them?
Yeah,
just like I said, we let them off the spelling. It's not their first language, but you do have to search for Don't Loose, as in LOOSE, your head, to find them a little bit, because there's a little spelling mistake. But I think
they were trying to claim.
Did they say they were going to change it?
Try to. I think they've changed the title, but not the root name. I think so. If you subscribe on iTunes, and it is on iTunes now, if you subscribe on iTunes, it says both. You got like a double title. One's the bit that they've changed for the episode, and one's the sort of podcast name. So they'd have to change that with whoever they're hosting with. But they're on SoundCloud as well. And I think they tried to claim that Don't Loose Your Head kind of loosely, well, that's a horrible pun there, I didn't mean it, but loosely works as well. I don't think anyone was buying it.
Well, anyway, whatever the name is, it's good because it triggers Tim. He's been hashtag triggered everywhere for the last few weeks since it's come out. So yeah, welcome our new Swedish brothers. There's a new podcast out. I've listened to I think I started with episode 3 because I just wasn't paying attention when I was downloading on iTunes earlier. But yeah, they had a good chat about Terminators. Really laid back guys. Some seriously metal music breaks, but I think we're the odd one out, aren't we? That we don't play really heavy metal all the time. I think I scared everybody with Goldie Looking Chain last time, didn't I?
Yeah, so, I think it's a bit more. Well, we don't put much in the cast, do we? We tend to just stick with a song at the end, which I'm sure no one listens to. We spend ages choosing. We take turns and pick a song we like.
If you didn't. If you didn't stick around to the end of our last show, you missed the joys of Your Mother's Got a Penis. So you may want to go back and listen to that because, quite frankly, it is a Welsh masterpiece.
It made me chuckle. It made my wife frown as well when I was trying to find the song on YouTube to record it to put on the show. She's like, what the hell's that got to do with your podcast? And it doesn't have anything to do with the podcast.
It's just Tom deciding to choose what the fuck he wants to choose because he thinks he's funny. No, that's cool. Yeah. So, there's Sons of Heresy as well. Did we mention them last time?
But I think we best, just in case we didn't.
So there are a couple of guys, you may have heard of them before. Johnny and Jason from the Overlords, ex-Overlorders, and Brendan, who was on our show a couple of weeks ago from Tarsus, wasn't
Brendan Hickey, member of the Mournival, seems to be... That has to be added to his name every time he's mentioned on a podcast.
Yeah, Brendan Hickey from the Mournival, silky-voiced Irish dreamboat Brendan Hickey with his Butch Mechanicum
they're
tattoos.
all silky voiced, aren't they? So Jason's silky, soft American tones, making funny quips, and then Johnny's awesome Radio 2 drive time voice that he has on the cast. It's absolutely awesome. Sounds really professional, much better than our insane, slightly West Country ramblings. But really,
yeah, Johnny does sound like
really enjoying it. And the two casts now. The first one's got a bit of some noise issues. Just ignore it because it's fixed for the second one, and they're really good casts. You need to listen to it if you haven't already.
It's a shame Jason decided that because he got his ass kicked at Tarsus, he'd screw the recording up to make our volume sound bad because he couldn't take the fact, that his walls had taken such a beating. Yeah, no, awesome. So welcome to those guys as well. Check them out. They're doing something quite different to what a lot of this cast are doing. They're doing some seasons. They're focusing on going to events. They're kind of taking a different structure to a lot of the other Heresy podcasts, and it's really cool. It's really nice to see. So with that, as we've got more and more competition, and we all know the Gino is a fantastic podcast if you want to listen to idiots talking shit. We're going to do our little social media thing. We try not to ram it down your throat too much, but if you want to give us a like and a share, tell your friends about us on Facebook. We have got groups and pages. We got a pretty busy Instagram, haven't we, Stu, to be
Instagram's the
fair?
biggest, yeah. I think some of that
Yeah,
might just be because you're posting a lot of MKA painted stuff, and I post sometimes pictures of painted stuff up. So I think there's people there for the painting as well. But yeah, Instagram seems to be seems to be pretty popular. But Twitter's growing in the last few days as well, and the Facebook group seems to be ticking over all right. So yeah.
Yeah, come and join us. And importantly, if you wouldn't mind, go on to iTunes if you're an iTunes subscriber. Leave us a 5-star review. If you don't leave us a 5-star review, I will send Nick round to argue the points with you and discuss it with you. So, if you want an easy life and you'd like to get on with other things in your life, send us a 5-star review. We're not trying to blow our own heads up, but it does help us jump up in the ratings. And we want to be with Tim and Michael taking these D&D podcasts out so we can have some Heresy podcasts. So don't just give us a 5-star review. Give all the Heresy podcasts a 5-star review, because I'd love to see one day in that chart no D&D podcast and the Heresy Master Race taking over. That'd be cool. So yeah, come and give us a shout. I promise we won't bash you over there too much with social media stuff. We appreciate you guys listening to us, and you don't want to just be bad over there. But it'd be cool if you could go and do that. That would be fantastic.
What else have we got? So any cool hobby bits you've seen around the internet, Tom?
What have I seen lately? Let me see what I've said. I save stuff on Facebook quite a lot. That's my way of doing things sometimes. What have I seen lately? It's generally the level of hobby has been fantastic. There is just people knocking stuff out the park, left, right, and centre. Where bloody Facebook? Yeah, this is great radio,
it's
isn't
awesome.
it, Stu?
I think for me, Instagram's where it's at the moment, Heresy-wise. Last few weeks, it seems to be where some of the best work's sort of been shown. I think it's been nice to see Andy Wardle posting non-Heresy stuff up, because he went away to I'm guessing he went. I'm assuming I haven't spoken to him, I never met him, but it looks like he's been away to a miniature show that was non-sort of Heresy related, and busts and all kinds of alternative stuff, and he looks like he's having a crack at painting some different things. So that's really cool to see someone that you normally only see Heresy related stuff coming out, and he's doing some different things. So that's been interesting. But I don't know if you've seen this guy. I think I think the Gino follows him, but there's a painter called I'm gonna really butcher this because it's foreign, unfortunately. Sally's Figurine. It's French. Remy Aroud. He's been painting some Domitars or Iron Hands on there, and they're absolutely beautiful. Really nice. And I should have probably shared that with you so you could look and enjoy it with me as we discuss it. But
Sally's Figurine. I'm on Instagram. Yeah, I've seen these.
Beautiful.
They are
the colour palette is
stunning.
Just amazing. So if you're on Instagram and you don't follow him,
is that freehand on the shield?
I think
it looks
so.
like
Yeah.
it. Sorry, yeah, you can't see it. Yeah, absolutely.
There's me trying to click on the picture, one of the pictures to zoom in,
and
I realised I could screenshot it so that I could find it easily. iPhones.
Yes, I remember. I've seen this guy. I've seen him he's done some custodes as well, which were amazing. They caught my eye as well. So yeah. I've seen those. They were wicked. I like those. Who else? Who have I been liking lately? Let's see on my Instagram.
You could probably do a whole show just listing things, but I like to, I don't know, find something each time we record that's sort of stuck out and give them a bit of a shout out, and I'll try and make it someone different every time. But it's just in case people are out there and they haven't heard of these guys, and they can go and give them a follow and enjoy looking at pictures of nicely painted models, really.
If you're someone who enjoys looking at pictures and looking at the things around, Instagram is a great medium for that. It's a really good stuff. Nick Mini Painter, that's what I was going to say. He's Nick Mini Painter. He posts a lot of varying stuff, to be fair. He's done some beautiful space walls, some absolutely stunning space walls, work in progress. Paints a lot of different stuff. He's just done a bust, one of the scale 75 dwarven busts. Like it's a dwarf head with shield and stuff. He's still working on that. That is absolutely stunning. That is coming on. That's really good. I love that. What else have I been liking on Facebook? Bar videos of my parrot falling off cushions onto his face and things like that. All these various things. Mr. Wardle, well, you were saying he's been painting other stuff. He's been working on a Leviathan Dread.
Yes, yeah, I saw that as well.
Which looks pretty awesome. The Night Lords one. Actually, I'm going to give a shout out to our friend Rob Duncan from the club. Cadaras. on Instagram. He's working on his son's Horus. Really beautiful stuff. Really nice stuff coming out.
He works
That's
on
really
quite a
good.
bit of different stuff, doesn't he? So he's got some Sons of Horus on the go, and he's got his word bearers and things. So
Word
it's nice to
bearers.
see him kind of taking a bit of time working on one legion and then
I've
swapping
just
back again. It's good to see him building up different forces.
just flicking through my Instagram feed. I found one from Jens over at Northern Heresy, and it's his picture that I like, where he's been reading Master of Mankind, and he's found the beautiful sentence "anal beauty" in Master of Mankind somewhere. So, I don't know what that was about, but yeah,
isn't it hyphenated though?
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Just where the sentence is carried over
No.
to the next. So
Well,
anal might not be the full word.
I imagine it's something like canal beauty or something, but yeah. Yeah, if you want to find Jens, he's Vulcan Hestan on Instagram. Yeah, he's a good laugh, Jens. I like our Jens. Yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, I could go through Instagram. The tags: Hard for Heresy, Warhammer 30k, Horus Heresy stuff. I quite regularly on our Instagram go through and look through that for stuff, and it's really good.
While we're mentioning Jens, not exactly Horus Heresy related, but I'm going to thank him for the awesome Swedish meatball recipe he sent me. I made it the night before last. It's ones with parmesan in the middle. My wife doesn't eat cheese, and she said,
"Oh, nice.
Oh, I'll have it with the cheese as well." She said, "That parmesan, that's mild cheese, isn't it? Like you have on pizza." And I said,
Did you just go, yes?
Said, yeah. She didn't think she meant. And when she bit into one, she was like, oh, she had to spit it out, and then she liked the rest of it, but just not the cheese in the middle. She said, hey, it's a bit stronger than normal cheese on a pizza. I was like, yeah, that's mozzarella you're thinking of, love. But they were awesome, and the wife did eat them in the end. She just cut the cheese out in the middle, and I made such a massive batch. I've got loads, so I'll be eating them by myself. But thanks very much, Jens, for the awesome recipe.
I'll come round and eat them with you. We'll come and have meatballs and hang out in the shed together.
Balls in the shed.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's one of the best. That's what I love, the food chat in the 30k podcast group, and it is for a bunch of people who spend a lot of time playing Heresy and talking Heresy. We really don't talk about Heresy a lot, do we? There's a lot of food
it's a
talk in
cultural
there.
Exchange,
right. Yeah. I was really excited for Ryan's. He sent a box to Tim and Michael in Australia, and I said to him, I'm going to have to do him a culture exchange box from Britain and send him things like Marmite and Bisto gravy and stuff. Teach him the proper use
gravy,
of those things.
Is it? That's the problem. You can't say. That's like
yeah, but you can't
Italian
really drain off the fat off.
I'll send you some Italian coffee and sending you some fucking Nescafe, isn't it? That's.
Yeah, but I can't exactly strain off the fat off a roast beef and box that up and send him to a car.
It'd be an interesting package, but
I'd never get through customs
to make it. His wife's a chef, isn't she? She should be able to do it. I reckon they have gravy like that. They just don't call it gravy, do they? They call it a sauce, and gravy for them is something very different. Anyway, we are really going off on a tangent, and Nick's not even here to do it, so he'll be telling us off.
We'll go next on this new. Oh, we probably better touch on this, haven't we? The almighty FAQ has been released, so I don't really want to go through every single rule on it because we'll be there. We've had Melter Bomb Gate. We've had. I think I was chatting to you earlier, didn't I? I said I think there's some things in there that when we go through and reread it second and third time, there's some quite important things in there about the way subtle shifts in mechanics are gonna affect things. Nothing groundbreaking, but what I'm going to sort of look at it from the point of view is I am an event organizer. I try and run things. For me, I will adopt it in full because it's an official FAQ. I don't agree with the Melter Bomb thing. I think it's pretty stupid, but and we can argue semantics and wording and all kinds of stuff. But I don't know if you guys probably saw on our Facebook feed. I asked the question directly to Forge World: can you use more than one Melter Bomb in squads like Breachers where you pay for multiple? And they came back and said, no, it's redundancy. You're making sure you get your Melter Bomb there. Fine. It's clear cut now. I don't agree with it, but it's clear cut. And as an event organizer, I don't want to be having to fuck about writing my own FAQ and trying to come up with all the different things. That's the FAQ. That's how it is. We'll stick to it.
I think it's down to each individual organizer or each two players at the beginning of the game. It's that social contract thing. If they want to say, which rule are you doing with Melter Bombs? And then the rest of it, I know I haven't read it in detail, to be honest with you. This is probably that doing Heresy Gaming is probably the least I've been interested in a rule set out of all the games I've played, because I'm in it with a narrative hobbying mindset. And if it was War Machine days, every single rule change makes a real difference. But I'm just, I don't get super excited about it. And maybe a year down the line, when I've played an awful lot more games, and maybe I will get a little bit more emotive about it. It doesn't mean the people that are really angry about it are not right. It just, from a personal point of view, I think it's a bit shit, but it's not upset me as much as it has. Probably people that have been playing a lot longer and people with 40k backgrounds, because I think it has a bit of an effect on it. But it'll be interesting to see whether Forge World do anything with it in the future. Because I think they've given the answer that they had to. It would have been wrong for them to kind of supersede GW's rules. They're using the 40k rule, but it'd be interesting to see whether they change it in future red books, whether they change the points, or whether they change the rule for Melter Bomb, or maybe even bring in a 30k weapon that's Melter Bomb that does what the Melter Bomb did, which then doesn't clash with the 40k FAQ. There's lots of ways around it.
Or you bring in a special rule, I think this might be Tim and Michael talking about it on Horus, was something like a Grenadier rule. You can use, these units you buy the Melter Bombs all for are trained to use multiple grenades. There's a special rule that says you can use more. I know Matt Kane was a fan of saying, 1 per 5. So if you've got a 10-man squad, 2 Melter Bombs. And that's kind of a nice halfway house. Nice half. But again, it's this thing of, it's your own house rule then. I turn up to play you in an event, and you've been playing your house rule at your club or your garage for however long, and that's how you do it. And I've been playing at a place where we've stuck religiously to the FAQ. We then have an issue where we're not compatible. So for me, like you said, if it's a pick-up game, it's just me and you coming to play in your shed. Should we multi-bomb or not? Yeah, we'll multi-bomb. Yeah, fine, no problems. We can organise that. But when you turn up to an event, you've paid money to go to an event, you're playing people you don't know. I mean, I deliberately at my events try and make sure people play different people all the time, because I want people to meet other people and generate community. You don't want to have that sort of, I've planned my army and I've done this manoeuvre to try and do this, and suddenly we're arguing about a rule. That's why as an event organiser, I'll be pretty clear, 1 bomb, that's it, that's the rules, because it makes life easy for everyone coming to the table. Then I'm almost having that discussion for you before you come to the table. But I think, as with you, I'm not here to play the most competitive game set ever. I'm not here to try and play the most balanced game set ever. All I want to do is know what I'm playing when I turn up at the table.
Yeah, that's the most. To be honest with you, I think that some of the things I've heard are very valid. That it makes some units almost, not I'd say unusable, but I don't like that. I think in a narrative game, nothing's unusable, but it definitely makes some units not worth taking versus others, or quite a few. Especially we've got the problems with Assault Marines already. But I like the idea of that Grenadier special rule when you can give a boost maybe to breachers or to assault marines, people that should have those kind of rules, and maybe it doesn't go on normal tax. It gives you a bit of a difference, but maybe vets get that, or they can choose that as an option instead of one of the others. So there are things they can do that I think would mean that it's not an auto-include for every single infantry unit, and maybe you don't want to see it on standard troops. I don't know, but I'd like them to address it, because you want to see assault marines in the game. You want to see breach. I'll take breaches with Imperial Fist because it makes sense with Stone Gauntlet because of the increased toughness. But why would you take breaches in a non-zone Mortalis game for any other legion?
I mean, we talk about not really being that worried about balance in a game, but because we're trying to build narrative. But what I want to see is units that it's not auto include units, or don't bother taking that unit. It's not worth taking. So for me, if the breaches were a little bit too expensive, or assault marines were a little bit too expensive, but they had that rule, you say, well, I'll use that because it's not totally a bad idea. But it means, I'm making a choice to use that, because what we don't want is the same list at every bloody event. If you're doing, you're doing Stone Gauntlet, so I know what your units you're going to bring because that works. Yeah. And you're bringing this army, so I know what you're going to bring. We want to be able to create different lists and have ideas and go, do you know what? I want to do my 300 assault marine Iron Hands list because I've decided that's what I want to do with them, or something mad like that. Because that's what the legions were. They were massive, great things. You would have, the Iron Hands had assault marines on jump packs. Didn't like to use them, but they had them. In the same hand, you had artillery drivers for the World Eaters. It was a punishment duty, but you could field an all artillery World Eaters list if you want. We just want to make sure that option's there, so we keep the flavour.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Right then, but I think, we'll knock the FAQ on the head, because I think if we're going to do it justice, we'd have to read it properly and talk about multiple points. I'm not sure that's what we want to do as a cast right now. I'm sure someone else knows the rules better than we do will do a much better job of it as well. So the last thing everyone wants is that repeated 100 times across all the different casts. I'm sure there's some good ones. Didn't you say that the Loaded Dice guys have done a pretty good rundown of it?
Yeah, good overview of it. So go and check that out. They haven't gone into 1,000,001 details in it, but they've had a good chat on it. I think Ryan's expressed his opinions over at.
I think he did, and he was
a bit.
I think afterwards he said, "Oh, I wish I didn't moan as much," but I don't think it comes across badly at all. I think he got some really valid points for someone that knows the rules very, very well, far better than I do. So worth listening to a few different opinions on it, and then making your own, and then ultimately at the end of the day, once we get to play on the table. You have that social contract. You agree to play something, and remember, guys, it's narrative. So just make sure that whatever you're doing is about having fun, not about making sure that your list is the most honed.
Kick base list. Cool. So we've had messaging, haven't we, Stu? So do you want to take us through that?
We've had loads of messages. So this is the messages section, but we're only going to do
outside of the getting into the Horus Heresy.
So send us a message about how in response to our question, what kind of things do you want covered? We will be reading through a lot of those at the end and addressing that, because some of them we're going to address in our big discussion, and some of it that we'll be addressing in a future episode as well. So it all will come clear when we get into that segment. But Matthew Marlowe contacted me. It seems like a couple of weeks ago now. Might be. So much stuff happens, but
week or so ago?
Probably a week or so ago. So it said, hey guys, hope you don't mind the message. Loving your work. It's great to see you have such a great following. There we go. That's our nice little sick, horrible bit. Probably shouldn't have read out. I run a little ego boost. I run a little gang on Facebook called Greetings from the Warp. We're about 300 strong now, and we do around 6 to 7 comps a year. 30k, 40k, AOS. It'd be great if you can give us a shout out. So that's what we're doing. I've compiled this message from a mini chat that we had, so it's probably 2 or 3 messages in one. So if it doesn't make sense, that's why. So it's on Instagram, the Warp Filters. They have a website which is www.greetingsfromthewarp.com. The Greetings from the Warp is on Facebook as well, I believe, as a group, so you can find them and find their events page. So go and check them out, because they do some serious events. They look really good quality events as well, and we're all about plugging the events on at the Gino, and it's
I think Matt's
an MKR, I believe.
We all bloody are now.
G.Torsi is on Instagram. If you want to see pictures of an awesome Iron Hands Legion, which I believe is going to be on a 30k channel battle report coming up soon as well. I think that's already been announced. Hopefully, I've not just done anything I shouldn't. I think David's announced that on his last video. Or
sorry, David.
Well, at least we're not spoiling the end to his videos like we normally do when we're drunk at the end of the show.
No, I managed to catch myself on that.
He's put in his message. I've just done a 30k bat rep. Also, he's done one on the 40k. This is Geeks 40k channel, which is another good YouTube.
I need to check that out. Actually, I'm going to put that on my YouTube now.
Good one to look at. Slightly different style to 30k channel, but well worth looking at. So he's been on there as well, so you can see his army on there. But get on Instagram and look at his stuff, because Iron Hands is tough to do. Let's face it, it's black, dark, metallic. Is it black? And he's just done an absolutely beautiful job of it. It's really, really something really stands out. So have a look at his stuff. Get on the Greetings from the Warp Instagram and Facebook and on the website, and have a look at their events and go to their events, because they look like some serious hobbyists in that group. So I think they're going to be really good quality events.
Yeah, the Greetings from the Warp is a really good group. It's 30, 40 and AOS, so it's a really nice, very group. I was going to say a few minutes ago when we were talking about events, I think they posted their schedule for the year, didn't they, a few weeks ago or so ago, and they've set up, what events they're going to be doing for the year. So you can jump in and get there. I'm going to try and see if I can shuffle my diary around and maybe get to some. I'd love to get up there and see there, but it's just my weekends are filling up. I wasn't supposed to be. After we did Tarsus, I did promise my wife that I wouldn't be doing any more Heresy big event major things until after the new year, and I've kind of got dragged into Matt Kane's event. And she was like, I thought you were just going to go and play for a day. I was like, yes, definitely not filling my boot up with scenery and doing all this stuff and getting chaotic about it. But yeah, definitely go and check the guys out. Matt's an awesome dude. He posts a lot of stuff. He's really encouraging. He's really active. Go and give him a check out.
Right, and then one final thing before we take a break, I think, but we'll come back with our main segment is just before our sponsors ad, which you're gonna hear next, unless I really screw up with the editing. I was in Incom today, having a chat with Chip, and we're talking about the discount that we do using the Gino discount code, which you'll hear on the ad. And I'm talking about adding some more product lines under that discount. So at the moment it's just Heresy related GW products, which is obviously your Calth box, I believe. Don't know if the Prospero one's under there yet because it's new, but
I think it is. I think you can still be cheeky, and I'm going to put Chip in the corner now and say you can get discounts. Chip maybe. Normally does 10%. He did. Yeah, no, he will do now because I've made it public.
You said it.
I'll bring it up. It's so I know for Calth it's 10% off your Calth anyway. If you use the G52 podcast code, you'll get another 10% off on top of that. So effectively, it works at 19% off, or just shy of 20% off. So that's pretty good for a Calth box set. He's still got them on the shelf. He's now going to do them on Prospero boxes because
you just dropped him in it. And he does it on the individual boxes as well. So your Mark IVs, so your Cataphractes, and your characters box set as well. And then so I was chatting to him about maybe getting some more lines on there that's Heresy related, because a lot of you guys will already have that stuff or have all the stuff that you need. And he just taken a delivery of Cromlech bits. So
a lot of the legionary bits, isn't it?
It's not everything that Cromlech do. He's not going to put Orc bits on there for a discount, because it's very much a Heresy discount at the moment. But as I left the shop, he was moving Cromlech stuff to routing the menu so that it would show up under the Heresy 30k section on the Income Gaming website. So that means that they will also be available with the extra discount. So I think those products come with standard 5% off RRP, I think, because he still hadn't worked it out fully, plus your extra Gino discount, and it's Gino 52 as in the numbers 52, because someone was silly and didn't do it properly.
Because Chip doesn't listen to me when he puts things on there. What you essentially get with the Gino code is 10% off on top of Chip's already discounted prices for our Heresy line. So I've just clicked onto the Heresy lines now, and Prospero is in that line. So I'm going to take a guess and say that's it. So he's still looking nearly 20% off a box of Prospero. What we got? We Cromlech Legionary running legs, kneeling legs, bionic legs, need more legs, turrets, APC
lots
turrets.
Of stuff. I know he's getting a lot more stuff in January. He's had a delivery now, and I know that the suppliers. In fact, I know.
There's some chain axes, and there's the frag launchers, heavy bolters.
The suppliers are getting a lot more in the new year as well. So this is very much one of those things. Buy them, get your discount on them, and he will get more and more and keep increasing the lines.
If there's specific bits you want from the Legionary line that are not listed on the website, if you shoot Chip a message, he will get it sorted for you. So send Incom either an email or a message on Facebook and stuff, and he's a one man. He's trying to get it sorted. I seem to work behind his bar and in his shop when I'm in there now as well. So he's a good dude. He's really trying. He's trying to create something really cool for everybody. He's really putting his heart and soul into this. So he's willing to talk and do stuff. if you shoot, there's something you desperately want, from, to be fair, there's something you desperately want from any manufacturer, if you're going to pay him for it, he'll get it sorted for you. So if you suddenly decide you want, I don't know, whatever, he always seems to get emails from me going, can you get me one of these and 3 of those? And he'll usually sort it out for me. And if not, he'll talk to you and he'll sort things out for you. So he'll come up with something for you. So yeah, go and check that out. There's some extra bits on there. And if stuff gets popular, if he gets a lot of requests for things through the Geno code, you suddenly decide you want, I don't know, whatever bits. He's open to then looking at it, putting more lines onto that
absolutely.
as well.
I was digging him today, but I think if the code's being used, absolutely. But if people go there and use that code, the more the code gets used, the more we're going to be able to say, get some more lines in there, get some more stuff. So I know I'm going to keep working.
The only pain in the ass thing is he can't get your Forge World. Nobody can get your Forge World other than Forge World. So he's a bit funny that he sponsors us, but the main product he can't actually sell. So
the way it works, but it's a great way of supporting us as well. So if you like listening to us, heaven forbid, but if you like listening to us and you want to support us, buy through our sponsors. Yeah. He's helping us in return. So it's a way of helping us.
I mean, this is where we put our events on. Chip's put a lot of time and effort and support in behind our events. When I turn up and say, Chip, I want to do this mad thing, can you get me 25 of these ridiculous things for our event? He goes out and does it. So he's supporting the heresy scene quite big time in our local area. And the tabletop gaming scene, I mean, I know there are people, you don't just play heresy, but he's got, X-Wing, Armada, Drop Fleet, Magic, you name it, he's got it. If you want to pick up your other bits and pieces as well, he's doing good deals on all that. So if you want to, you want your Contemptor Dreadnought and a box of Cataphracti, you're going to get a good discount on that. Then throw yourself some paint in there, some spray cans. He was showing me the extra large GW spray cans now. They're bloody massive. They're twice the volume for less than 50% increase in cost on them, which is amazing.
Really
quite
good.
frankly. But they are huge. I wonder if they're a little unwieldy. They look like batons for beating rioters with.
He was saying today if they got any bigger, they'll have to wear them in a backpack and use them like a flamethrower or something. It'll be. No, they do. If you use the rattle cans, still, I know you do, Tom. They look really, really good value. So definitely worth having a go.
Yeah, cool. So we not too much. We don't want to do you too much corporate shilling, but Chip's put a lot of time and effort into us. We're putting a lot of time and effort into it. So go and give us a support and help a good dude out who's setting up his business and trying to keep his little corner of the world going.
With that in mind, go and listen to his ad.
Yeah, now listen to his ad. It's going to be. I don't know who he's got to do his voice, but she's got a sexy lady voice. So if you haven't listened to it, but listen to the sexy BBC announcer lady voice. No one from his family talks like that. Cool. All right, guys, we'll leave you with an ad and we'll come back and catch up with you in a minute.
G52 is sponsored by Incom Gaming, the new centre for tabletop wargaming in Gloucestershire. Visit incomgaming.co.uk for great savings on pre-orders and all your hobby needs. We stock many gaming systems and hobby accessories and can ship to anywhere in the UK. Incom Gaming is the only UK stockists of the market-leading gaming mats from gamemats.eu. Visit the store and check out how to turn your tabletop into a battlefield. Incom Gaming is based in the centre of Cheltenham and offers tables and scenery for casual and organised play with a fully licensed bar. Check out our events page for upcoming events where everyone is welcome. Save an additional 10% on Games Workshop Heresy products by using the code GENO52 at the checkout. Visit incomgaming.co.uk and help fight the betrayal. Incom Gaming. Come game, shop, drink. To shop elsewhere is heresy.
Welcome back then, guys. We're going to get into our Heresy for Beginners section. So we're going to try and go through a few bits and pieces here. I know Stu put the message out for questions and stuff. Hopefully, we'll hit those questions as we go through. We are going to have a little bit of we have got a note at the end to say we'll try and answer questions. There have been some questions that come in that need quite a chunky answer. So what we're going to try and do next episode, hopefully, is talk about lists and specifics, and we'll answer those bigger questions in there as well, guys. So if you ask us a question, it doesn't come up, don't panic. We are noting everything. We're going to try and answer everybody's questions, but we don't want this section to turn into a 5-hour mega ramble where the kind of bits you maybe want to answer aren't easy to find because they're buried in a 6-hour mass rant on, everything heresy. So we try and break it up a bit so it might be easier to find them. So
it's the last thing anyone new is going to want to do if they maybe search podcasts for the first time for heresy. Click on this one because it's titled something to do with new players and find that there's 5 hours on what to do. It's going to scare people off. So
yeah.
So if it's about sort of in-depth unit builds or list builds, really really important. We want to cover that, and we're planning on covering that in another big section in the future cast. It's probably going to be the one after next, because the one after next we are Christmassy one. So if you
we haven't announced that yet. We're Magic Christmas special.
Yeah, so whatever we do for our Christmas special, we're probably going to be going off topic a little bit more and having a few drinks more than normal.
It could be a bit wilder and less structured than normal. So me and Stu have worked quite hard on putting together a structure of the stuff we're going to go through. So this may be. This is going to try and cover all the bases. So you walked in, you bought your box. What do I do with it? Or you've come from 40k, and what's the difference? What is the Age of Darkness expansion? What changes is there? So this is kind of generated from stuff we see a lot generated around the internet. People asking these questions, and also experience we've had. I try and say this without sounding like a big-headed twat. I'm kind of responsible for heresy in our gaming club. I was the one. A lot of people have toyed with it, and I went, right, let's do it. And the amount of people who came out, I had a couple of people come out that were going, oh, good, I've got a really big heresy army that no one plays with. So there were people doing it before me, but I've pushed it in. So I've learnt the heresy and tried to drag a lot of people on as well. So we're going to try and go through this. But the first point that I wrote down is, number one, have fun. The heresy is not a balanced competition. It is, if you want to go and play something really competitive, I think, Stu, you'd probably agree, is it War Machine and Hordes is a lot more.
There's loads of
designed
things. Loads of things. Probably not stuff that GW put out, and that's not knocking GW, but they design their games from a narrative perspective. They want people to have fun. I think that they might have 40k players might have gone off route a little bit and have lost the way, and then the game's designers almost followed that. But if you want to play really balanced game, go and play chess. If you want to play a semi-balanced game, there's Hordes of War Machine out there. There's Guild Ball. There's things that will give you a more even player-on-player tactical challenge. Not saying there's not tactics involved in 30k, and that of course there is, but it's primarily, I imagine, people are coming to Horus Heresy because they love the fluff. Not necessarily the books. They love the fluff in the black books, or for whatever reason, or they remember a passage in Rogue Trader from 30 years ago that they think, oh, heresy, I love that story. That's probably why people are here, not so much because they want a honed tournament game. Yeah,
I mean, me and you are quite high, and Nick as well, quite quick on getting the Black Library books read and done. We were quite keen on doing that. It's interesting in the podcast community, some of them are, some of our other fellow presenters are not so far up. So, everyone loves the fluff and stuff, and that's what draws them to it. But I think, the underlying, that's what that's what drew me to it is I like playing 40k. I just got to a point where it got so competitive. It was like I had to be competitive that I stopped actually thinking about the fluff. And what got me back into the hobby a couple of years ago was the fluff. And I've been reading the heresy books for a few years and absolutely loved them, and just thought, what, this is what I want to do. So that's what we're here to do. This is what the heresy is really about, is chilling out, having some beers with a friend, telling stories. That's what we want. I played Duncan's Iron Hands on Tuesday, and I charged 10-man vet tac squad into his 5-man heavy sport squad. My vet squad beat them all to death, apart from the sergeant, who managed to... so first round of combat, I killed off all his other guys. Second to combat, he only had his dude with the power fist. I fucked all my rolls with my vets, didn't do a single wound. He did 2 wounds on my squad with his power fist. I then promptly failed my leadership test, and he swept the whole unit. So this one sergeant with a power fist beat down a whole 10-man vet squad. It was amazing, and that's what we want. That was, we both laughed. We thought it was absolutely brilliant, and I've told him he's got to go and give that sergeant a name now, and he's got him in every army list because he is a hero. And that's what we're here to do. That's what it is. And I think, is that the same for you, Stu?
Absolutely. It's about trying to have. I want it to be almost not quite that level, but almost beer and pretzel enjoyment level.
Yeah.
When playing in the game. With, for me, the extended hobby is about reading the fluff, reading the stories, creating the lists, and the most important thing for me is building and painting toy soldiers. So that's why I do it for. If I didn't play the games, I'd still build and paint toy soldiers. So everyone will have their own angle from it, and I think what we want to sort of get across is, yes, it's about fun, but provide a framework with this conversation that helps people no matter what background they come from. So you've talked about 40k players, so the key things that they'll learn from this maybe will be what's different to do with force organisation and list building and what books do they need to use. But there might be people that have not had played a GW game for 20 odd years when they've been bought a box of Prospero for Christmas, because people might be listening to this in the new year and they're thinking, oh, I didn't realise that these models can be used aside from the board game. Oh, there's a game out there, what should we do? I used to play 40k when I was a kid, what do I need? Doing a bit of Googling, find a podcast, that kind of stuff. So we want to cover people that maybe come from outside of the hobby as well, or back from other systems, been away, a bit like myself really, when I came in the beginning of this year. I've been away playing other games for a long time and sort of returned to GW because of the heresy. I knew what was going on, but I hadn't been playing 40k. So some of the stuff you hear, if you already play, you might think, well, I know this is pretty low level, but we're trying to make it very, very clear, and we broke it down into little sections so you know what books to go and buy and where to find the information. We're not going to give you all the info because, like we've already said, it would be ridiculous.
We could be here for weeks.
But we're going to sort of tell you what things you need and what you need to find. So what's the first... So, we talked about books, so Tom, what books do people need?
First place to start, yeah. So the books, you can kind of group into three categories, can't you? There are the Forge World Black books, the Forge World Red books, and the Black Library stories. I think that's the three things. And really what you want to do with it, kind of where the book starts. So you've got the Forge World Black books, and these are the 75, 80 pound, big, thick black books. They are beautiful. They have so much fluff and story in them, and fluff and story that is not in the Black Library books, different stories. These are your beautiful books, and they do have the rules in them for armies. Now, we were discussing earlier, Stu, I think we were talking about the deals up on Forge World, but book 1 and 2 at least, there have been revisions to the units, and the costs in those units now are not the same, and the rules are not the same in those books for those army lists. So they might not be the best place to get your gaming rules for older units. They are definitely the place where new units tend to be released. So we tend to get a black book out. We might get 1 or 2 black books out with new units, new legions, new armies in them. And then the red books are the strictly army books. So those will come out every couple of black books, and they'll tend to compile all the units together into one. So if you really want to get into the fluff and the books and the backstory to your legion, the black books are the best. And there are a couple of legions per book. I jumped into the black books at book 5, Tempest, because that had the Ultramarines in it, and that's what I wanted. So that's the book I bought first, because that's got my legion in it and my story. So that's great. And I've stolen Chip from Incom Gaming's book 1 and 2, and he's never getting them back. He doesn't know that yet, but he's never getting them back because they're the background, and I'm reading my way through them. Now, the black books do contain the campaign as well. So you've got a lot of the unique missions. So what do they call them? They're special missions. So there are, in the Ultramarines books, there are specific missions for reenacting the war on Calth. So they come with special campaign missions. So the majority of black books focus on that. They're not just all legions. So book 4 is a campaign book. It's got how to run a system for running an ongoing campaign with character development and model development. Book 6 is Retribution, which brings in black shields. Book 3's got solar orcs in it, hasn't it, as well, Stu?
Yes, it has. I think it's book 3.
Yeah, book 3, I think, has got solar orcs.
Book for it now that I don't even inflict to the black ones anymore. But yes,
yeah.
I think if you're going to sum it up, rather sort of going into the detail of what each book holds, is that if you've come from 40k, then these books are your codex with added
full codex,
full codex, but with added campaign systems. So there's a theme to them as well. So it's your codex army list, but there's a theme to what's in the book. So it might contain army list for 3 or 4 legions, and the campaign that relates to that. And if you've come from, if you're a 40k player and you're familiar with the old Forge World armor books, then they're basally, sort of heresy related versions of that.
Very much so.
So absolutely. So those are the if money is no object, you want to own them all because they're absolutely amazing.
Yes, Carl at Studio Dropship. Yes, Carl, we saw you order all 6 of the Black Books. You lovely man. I will be borrowing some of them at some point.
However, if you just want to play the game, you can. You're thinking, I'll get those Black Books a bit later on when I'm a bit more flush, but I want the up-to-date rules to play.
I want to put my army on the table and play the game.
Then you need what we've been calling the red books, because they're red, and they're basically the books stripped out of all of the fluff and the campaign stuff. Really, it's just the rules you need to play your armies, and they're available in hard copy, they're available in digital copy, and they're available of Apple enhanced copies as well. So there's lots of different ways to get them, depending on how you like your media. So I suppose we should list which books they are and what they've got.
I was just gonna say for people who are familiar with 40k, especially the digital editions. So a little while ago, GW released what they call the gamer edition of all their codexes, which are ebooks with just the rules in, and these are very much similar to that. They're just the rules for the army. And the Space Marines get 2 books because they're the best. They get a Legion book and they get a General book. So the General book covers all the units. So it covers all the units that are available to all the legions. Then there is another book which is the Legion specific units. So this has got your Rights of War, which we'll cover in a minute, your Legion rules and your Legion special units. So if you're going to play a Legion army, you want those 2 red books together. They're going to give you Now, they come with the 6 core missions in them as well. So the 6 generic missions for playing, pickup games and stuff in them as well. So they're great because you can literally buy those 2. You've got all the units, you've got the missions. You can go and slap your Calth box down on the table, make an army up, and play missions with it.
I suppose we should be clear on the names and which one's which.
Oh Christ! Yeah, no, you're asking a question because this is. I'm gonna go.
I've got the name. I know the names. It's fine.
You know them.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you do because I don't.
So you got your Legions Astartes, Age of Darkness army list, and that gives you your basic Legion army list. So for playing Legions, you're playing your Space Marines, and just that book on its own, you can play a game with any Legion. The other book, which is the Legions Astartes, Age of Darkness Legions, gives you the special rules for, I'd like to say all, but not all legions are included in it, but most of the legions.
So let's be clear with that. That army book doesn't contain the Legion Astartes from book 6, the latest Black book.
That's right.
So that is your Dark Angels, your Blood Angels, and your White Scars. If you want to play one of those 3 legions, you will need to buy book 6 for the rules at the moment. The Black Book, book 6, Retribution.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's basically one book's got the core army list in, the other book's got a breakdown of the special characters and any special units that are only usable in certain legions. You can't put it any simpler than that, really. So you probably want both books just because it's nice to use. But if you want one of the legions that Tom's just mentioned, you might just want the standard book and book 6.
Book 6. So I'm just on the Black Library website, and they're still running a bundle. They do the ebook bundle for those 2. So if you've got an Android device, an Apple device, anything like that, a mobile phone that can read ebooks, £35 gets you both those books. Now, I know you can go and spend £30 on a codex for one army, for a 40k army. So £35 for both of them, that's pretty damn good, isn't it?
Yeah.
To get you.
Absolutely. And these books are big and heavy. So if you don't mind reading digital, with the added value and the ease of carrying a tablet around, I can seriously go digital. I use it all on my iPad. I'm going to put books anymore just because they're too heavy to carry around for me. Along with your dice and your miniatures and everything else as well, it just gets a little bit too heavy.
So I was quite. I splashed out when they came out. I've got an iPad, so I've got the enhanced edition of the 40k rulebook. I've had that for a long time, and I've really enjoyed the search function in it. So when they brought those two books out, I think I spent about 50 or 60 quid on the two books in enhanced edition, which is about the same as I'd have paid for the hard copy. But so on my iPad, I've got the 40k rulebook and these two army books. And since then, probably what's that, about 6 months ago now they came out, I haven't taken a physical book to a game with me. I just use my iPad. The enhanced editions are hypertext linked for clicking between rules, searchable, everything. Now, yes, that does come with the caveat of an Apple device, and they're not the cheapest. And I'm not trying to. I'm aware that's not the cheapest option, but yeah, fair play, they're brilliant. And I know a lot of the guys that I play with have Android devices and stuff, and have got the PDF versions and the ebook versions, and they're really good. They're workable, and like I said, I mean, having a device that slips in the back pocket of your jeans with 5 books on it is so much easier than trying to bring 5 books to an army match with you.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's personal preference, and all of the options are available. But
we're definitely converted to E, aren't we?
Oh yeah, I love the enhanced editions.
So after that, we have then got the Red Tagmata Army List book, which is your Cyber Robomen, your Mechanicum. So one of the things that a lot of people say to us is, why do you want to play Heresy? It's just Space Marines. No, it's not just Space Marines. Space Marines, you've got 18 legions anyway, but then you have the Mechanicum. So this is your Proto Adeptus Mechanicus for your 40k players. It's Cyber Robo Man for your people coming outside. These are your robots, your cyborgs, your mad maniacs. I mean, some of the best looking models in the Heresy, I've got to admit. I love the look of the Mechanicum.
Absolutely. And it's, I'm not the best person to talk about Mechanicum. There's units and things I don't know much about. Sons of Heresy, Episode 2, Brendan does a really, really nice introduction to Mechanicum, what they're all about. So if you're thinking about Heresy and you're thinking, like talking about Legions, I really want to do Mechanicum, listen to the rest of this, then go and listen to Episode 2 of Sons of Heresy, and you can find out more about the Mechanicum if that's something that interests you.
So the book you want, if you do want to, your red book there is your Horus Heresy Mechanicum Tagmata Army List. That's the one you want to pick up. So that's your post-humans and your cyber robomen. But I hear you saying, I don't like these superhumans and I don't want to play with robots. I want to play with pre-post-humans. I just want my bog standard men. What do I need for my men? Well, this is your Imperial Army, your Imperial Militia. This comes under.
It's the Crusade Imperialis Army lists. So it's one big book with multiple lists in it.
So that covers your two human factions, isn't it? Which is your militia, which is your Imperial Army, generic, the multitude of armies that you can build from, that served in the Horus Heresy, and your Solar Auxiliary, which are your elite pre-post-humans.
Yeah, so your Solar Auxiliary are probably your Tempest Scions of the 40k universe. And then your militia can be many things. So it can be your Imperial Army, your Imperial Guard, but it can be your cults as well. So it's a cults and militia list, so it could be your Chaos Walk cults. It's designed in a way, we're not going to go into the rules, but it's designed in a way you can pick special rules that give it flavour. So technically you could build a squat list, heaven forbid, because they don't exist, but maybe they do. But you could build a squat list, you could build almost Cybermen or something. You can build anything you want from a sci-fi imagination from it, really. It's quite
I've got a real soft spot. Yeah, I've got a real soft spot for the militia list. I think in the entire GW universe, it's probably one of the most flexible army lists. I've seen people spouting. We actually had Ben in his mass warp cult army list at Tarsis. I've seen Beastman lists, Cyberhuman lists, anything and everything. It's a fantastic list, the militia list, to really let your imagination go wild. So if it might be a good jumping in point for people who maybe have got a guard army, or bloody, what is it, Astra Miller, what's it face now, Astra Militarum, that we couldn't trademark Imperial Guard, so we've trademarked this list. You could take your 40k Imperial Guard army and build an army out of it. Now,
Absolutely.
you might not want to because of fluff and narrative reasons, but if you just want to have a game and go for it, you've got the militia list to do that. So that's really good.
Without going into a long discussion about it, it's the only list that doesn't really have lots of official models for certain units.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you really can use anything you want, and if you're not worried about playing in official GW events at Warhammer World, you can pretty much use any sci-fi miniatures you wanted from any range to create anything you wanted. Really, it's the imagination is there really, but lots of flex and room to do what you want with that.
If I turned up to a GW Warhammer World with my militia army and going by the rules, I say, look, it's a valid army in your thing. How can you stop me playing when your army? So anyway, that's a debate for another day about.
I just meant if you turn up with a whole Mantic Forge Father's army. If they they might not like it. Squats don't exist, and definitely Mantic squats don't exist. So,
but all these red books, they contain the 6 core missions, and one of the questions that did pop up is, what's a good mission to start with to get your head round Horus Heresy? And I had a quick flick through the 6 core missions. So you'll hear us refer to the 6 core missions, and these are the 6 missions that have been in since book 1. Basic, kind of as you would in your 40k book. The 6 basic missions to play. And the one I sort of looked at and thought, if I was just wanted to play a game and have a go at it, but mission 1, Blood Feud, it's basically kill points with a few extra things thrown in it, but it'll give you the flavour for 30k. It's a fairly straightforward mission. Beat the shit out of each other and score some points, but with a little twist, which is nice because it's got the narrative twist in there as well. Blood Food, basically you pick a target in secret, a specific type of unit, and you get bonus points for killing those types of units, and until the end you don't tell your opponent what your bonus Blood Feud target was. So it's quite cool. It's got that little extra flavour to it.
There's another list in that book as well, Tom, which is not in our list, but Questor's Knights is in the list.
Oh, bloody hell, yeah, Questor's Knights.
So if you want to make friends with everyone and run knight lists, and
it's 5 knights at 1,500 points.
Absolutely. Now, if you want to run knight houses, then the list is you can have knights with your Mechanicum as well. So we talked about that Mechanicum book. You have knights with them, but if you want to run a knight house, the rules for that are in with the militia and the Solar Auxilia.
Yeah, cool. So those are the books that you want to go out and get.
We only touched on.
Libraries.
There's only one book we touched on very briefly.
What's that?
You do need a copy of Warhammer 40,000 to play this game.
Rule books.
So if you're thinking, is there a 30k rule book as such? It uses the core rules for Warhammer 40,000. What these books are expansions which allow you to play 30k things. We probably didn't make very clear at the beginning. So when we talk about,
shall I say something?
So we talk about scenarios and things like that, and the rules for playing it. That they kind of supersede the basic ones in the 40k rulebook. But go on.
Shall I say something very unpopular? All Heresy players are playing Warhammer 40k. We all are 40k players. What we're playing is an expansion on Warhammer 40,000, a scenario expansion.
We are. It says so on the back of all the books as well. It does.
Exactly. I know the argument. We like to think we're Heresy players, but essentially we play on the core of 40k. So yes, you're absolutely right, Shoot. Enhanced edition, e-editions are available. The little small A5 size ones that came with Dark Vengeance, the 40k starter box, there's loads of them on eBay for, I think, if you can pick up a rule book for under 10 quid.
That's what I did. I don't owe the big sort of 3-tome volume because I don't need the background for the rest. But you were playing 40k before I wasn't, so all I wanted was the rules as quick as I could and as simple as I could. So I picked up the little A5 booklet, which I can slip in my figure case with me for games and things. So it suits me fine. So if you don't come from a 40k background and you want the rules, especially with rumours of maybe new rules some point in the next 12 months, go and pick yourself up one of the little A5 paperback things, because that's all you're going to need. Unless you really want one of the big tomes to read the 40k fluff as well.
Yeah, I mean, I got the big 3-tome set, and there is some really good fluff in there, really kind of nice set. But yeah, I looked at the 2 books with the fluff in it, went, they're really cool, and then just looked at the rule book after that. So yeah, most definitely sure how we forgot that one. The key point for beginners. Yeah, you need a 40k rule book. You will you will need a 40k rule, because especially there are lots of references in the red books to rules and weapon profiles and stuff that aren't in the book. So you might find, the profile for a bolt gun is not listed because it's listed in the 40k rule book, and like
the rules, and we'll have that in your other books.
Exactly, yeah. So you'll, the things like it'll say you get a Crusader special rule. Probably won't elaborate on the Crusader special rule because that's in the 40k rulebook. So yeah, most definitely you'll need it. The enhanced editions are much better for that because you can tend to click on the links and get all the rules from there as well. So another reason why I quite like the rulebooks. But there are, especially the mechanics of the game, in the 30k books, the red, the black books that we mentioned, they won't tell you the order of the game and how movement works and how assault works and how shooting works. The mechanics of the game are in the 40k rulebook, so you will definitely need that.
If you're a big tip for you, if you're new to this and you've not been playing 40k and you have an Apple product, seriously consider getting the enhanced books, because coming from the same background myself, being able to click on a link for the rules and it comes up with what that special rule is straight away, or a weapon profile. It saves so much time in game, and you know what it's like when you're a new player and you don't know all the stats and you're flapping around with fingers in 5 different pages in one book and this and that and another. Yeah. It's a godsend. I
remember our first Heresy game, because I'd obviously got a reasonable grip on the rules, but not the Heresy stuff. And we that game took so long. A 1,500 point game took all night, because what's this do? Oh shit, better go and look that up. What's that do? I don't fucking know. Let's have a look at it. So, having the enhanced, we were working out of hard copy books, and it was quite slow.
You can end up with a lot of books. Yeah. That's one thing about playing Heresy. You can end up with a lot more than just your rules and your codex.
Yeah, I feel for the Mechanicum players pre the red book, because I know before the Mechanicum red book, you would have to take 3, maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 of the black books to get all your army and rules together. And I know Greg, I remember listening to when I first got into Imperial Truth, Greg was having to take at least 3 black books to it, let alone the weight of them. That's 3 75-pound books you'll take into a smelly, sweaty game club where somebody with sticky fingers goes, oh, let's have a look through your book, and then rubs their greasy fingers through your nice book. So the last set of books then to mention is the Black Library storybook. So there's a Horus Heresy story, where it all started, really, wouldn't it? Because the original trilogy came out and all that. These are pure fluff, absolutely pure fluff, just the story. And there are... What are we up to now? What was Master of Mankind?
41.
I'm looking now. Let's have a look now. Book 41, Master of Mankind. So and that is 41 in the main series. There are numerous short stories, audio dramas, special editions. There is so much history and story out there. It's amazing,
It's crazy, isn't it? Some of those 40 books are compilations of some of the short stories that have been released.
Yeah.
But there's a massive amount of stuff on there. We've touched on one in our intro when we were talking about what the advent calendar thing was a story that's just come out. There's so much, and we could talk about it for hours, and that's another cast in itself. But if you're interested in the stories, I would say read them in the official book release order is probably your best way to get into it.
Well, that's well. I'm gonna say something that Stu's not gonna like, because your OCD says read them in that order. If there is a specific legion that you will like and you are looking to get into it, go and grab the book that suits your legion. If you're desperate to do World Eaters, go and get Betrayer. If you're
I would agree. Actually,
go and read this, because I wouldn't want you to read through 25 books. I worked my way up to the Ultramarines book, Fear to Tread. No Fear. And I did a lot of the time go, I just want to hear about my Legion. I love the books, but if you want to get yourself excited, go and grab them. You might not understand. The only thing is you might not understand some things in there, because obviously they reference each other and stuff. I would thoroughly recommend working your way through them all. Some of my favourite books are Legions I've got no interest in playing, but I love the story. Fulgrim. I love the book Fulgrim. That's probably a controversial statement, but I love it. No interest in playing Edge of Children, but I really enjoyed the poo paintings and things in Fulgrim. So, go and read them, because you go and look at the Legion you want to look at, read the books, enjoy those, then start again, because you may well come across something you think shit, I didn't know that about this Legion. I didn't get that from that Legion. I really like that. I want to do more about that Legion, because pretty much every book I finish, I go, I want to do that Legion now, or I want to do that army, or I want to do that, because you get so excited by the books. They are amazing.
I will add to that. I do agree, actually. If you've not read any of them, go and find something to do with the Legion you're interested in, because it will help you do those initial steps to build and paint your army. But once you've done that, probably go back, and if you're not going to do them all in complete order, go and do the original trilogy, because it really sets the tone and the scene.
If you want to get a real feel for how the Heresy is a different setting from 40k, read the 3 original trilogies: Horus Rising, Galaxy in Flames, False Gods.
Yes.
Not that one, I think it's Horus Rising, False Gods, Galaxy in Flames. That will just show that will give you a real insight into the difference in the universe. While it is the same universe, it's definitely a different time period, and those 3 books will really set out for you, how different this time is. And they are. I did the audiobooks of them a couple of months ago, and I was listening to them after probably not, it'd been 2 years since I did them the first time, and I remembered why it sat up and grabbed me by the teeth and went, "You want to do Heresy?" It made me go.
I think from a gaming point of view, if you've come from 40k and you don't really understand the difference between Legion and Chapter, those 3 books, regardless of what Legion you want to use, they talk to you and they teach you what Legion is and the makeup of it, how they work, and how vastly different the Imperium was in that era. So it's really worth reading early on. But again, we could go into the really 2 or 3 hour discussion on the novels. But
it's that thing of like you said, Stu. You look at the Ultramarines Legion at Calth; they were 250,000 Marines strong. That's 250 chapters of Space Marines at the the 40k universe. That should give. They usually say if 1 chapter of Space Marine rolls out, in 40k, that's a major thing. Well, at Calth there was something like I think it was 150,000 nearly 200,000 Ultramarines at Calth. So 200 chapters of Space Marines assembled in one place. That's it's just, it'll give you a feel for that difference. So those are the books. If you want to really get into the background, you've got the Forge World Black books and the Black Library stories. If you just want to slap your army on the table and play, red books are the way to go. I love my black books, I love my Black Library books, but the ones I look at the most are the red books. That's what gets me gaming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So what's the main differences between this game then? It's an expansion of the Warhammer 40k rule set, and there are some quite key differences. The first one that comes up quite a lot is scoring. So if you've played 7th edition Warhammer 40k, so if you're new to the game, this probably won't make such a difference. But especially if you come from 40k, this will. 7th edition Warhammer 40,000, every unit in your army is capable of scoring an objective. You have objectives secured as a special rule, which gives primacy to some units in scoring, and that's how it works. In the Age of Darkness expansion, only units taken as compulsory troops are your scoring. Only units taken as troops are scoring, and that is not always. So your tactical support squad have the support squad rule, so they are not scoring.
Some exceptions.
So there are
to that rule.
Yeah, but generally, as a route, your troops are your scoring units. That does not include their dedicated transports as well. So you buy a Rhino for your tac squad. The Rhino is not scoring, the tac squad is. Now, there is a special rule that comes up quite a lot, which is Implacable Advance. That gives units the ability to score. So my Ultramarines unit is my suzerain. One of the things that makes them super duper is they come with the Implacable Advance special rule, which allows them to be scoring. And there are ways to get that rule and things, but generally as a core, your troop selections are your scoring units. And that is something that catches a lot of players out, because suddenly they go, well, I'm on that objective. No, your heavy support unit, your support squads on that, they're not scoring. Your tanks on that, that's not scoring. Your troops are your scoring units.
Absolutely.
So the other thing that then kicks in is the 25% Lord of War restriction. So in Age of Darkness missions, you are not allowed to take a Lord of War selection under 2,000 points. So if you have a 1,999 point army, you are not allowed a Lord of War, and that's your Primarchs, your Super Heavies, all kinds of stuff like that. Once you get over 2,000 points, you are only allowed to spend 25% of your total army on Lords of War. So 2,000 points, you've got a 500 point restriction. No, 2,500. Oh, fucking hell, Stu. How are we in the maths? 25% of 2,000. Sorry, I'm on the beers. I've got to pull up the bloody list, haven't I? I've got it all written down. 500, Tom. It is 500. Yeah, stupid boy. Sorry. This is why I field illegal lists. So yeah, if you're playing 2,000 points, you can spend up to 500 points on your Lord of War, which will be your Primarchs and things like that. But you'll probably find a lot of super heavy tanks you won't get in there. Now there are lots of Lords of War that you can take. There is, if you look in your red books, there are some ways of taking them. So these are your Primarchs and your super heavies. There are also things like War Machine detachments. Engines of Destruction, Suborbital Strike Wings. Again, I don't want to get bogged down too much into exactly what they are, but they're all anything taken as a Lord of the War selection. You can't take 5 Wraith Knights in a 2,000 point army and be an Eldar scummy bastard. So you are limited as to what you can spend on Lords of War. There is also no formations in the Age of Darkness. So all these data sheets that come out with formations, no thank you, don't want them. And there is no unbound as well. So we don't have unbound armies where you just slap everything down that you want. Again, this kind of speaks more to the 40k players coming across rather than new players. There is a specific Age of Darkness force organisation chart and a couple of variations on there as well. Again, these go into the front of your red books and are explained in there. I don't want to get too much into detail on them, but there are quite set ways to build armies. Again, I think it kind of reflects the fact that in the Heresy, the legions were a lot more strict. There was a lot more structure to them. They were massive entities, so they built things kind of the same way.
And if you used to play 40k from a few years ago, it'll probably seem quite familiar because it's the way it used, very similar to the way it used to be done. But
yeah, it's basically Age of Darkness Force Org is basically what we would know as a combined arms detachment, a CAD. HQ, 2 troops, and a few slots off that. But there are some extra. We get more slots in some places. Now, the other thing that I haven't put in my notes sheet that I should have probably put in there is Age of Darkness missions are generally designed to be played between 2,000 and 3,000 points and above, really. You'll find a lot of your armies don't really work below 2,500 points. You can play 2,000 to 2,500 when you're starting off. No, you play 1,500 points by all means. It will work, but you might slightly unbalancing. I know when we started off playing, we found under 2,000 points, Mechanicum very, very strong, didn't we, at 1,500 points?
Absolutely, yes. I think, we saw someone play
Scoria
at 1,500, didn't we?
Oh, God, yeah. Scoria is your Primarch level special character for your Mechanicum. And at 1,500 points, fuck me. He just he could have just played him. That would have been enough. All the other units were just fine. But so when you get up to Legion lists, especially start to work, I find they start to work at about 2,500 points, really. So we tend to play bigger games. I know in 40k at 1,500 to 2,000. I know a lot of tournaments play 1,750, 1,850 points. So we tend to play a lot bigger games. That's because we have more toys on the table. And I tell you what, when you start playing Heresy, you'll realise stuff dies quickly as well. Everybody takes handfuls of stuff off the table.
It doesn't necessarily make it a longer game. It just means that
no.
Yeah, just seems to.
You've got toys to play with.
Absolutely, it makes the game a bit more thematic. I don't know. We don't want formations in 30k. We don't want Magnus. Have you seen the Magnus formation? One of the leaked ones. Magnus and just Demon Princes. I think it wasn't it. Just
2 up and you win.
No, the actual formation I saw it leaked the other day was you have Magnus and Demon Princes. That's all you can choose for that formation. So, so Magnus and like 5 Keeper of Secrets or something like that. So none of that, please. None of that, please.
Yeah, none of that. So while you're trying to get into the Heresy, and like we said, playing full Age of Darkness missions works at 2,500, 3,000 points. There are other options for playing. So I can't remember now. I think it's book 3, maybe book 4. There is a tactical strike options. Victory is Vengeance tactical strike option. This is your kill team. For anyone familiar with 40k, this is the Heresy version of kill team. So you'll play maybe 500 points at most of this, and you will, instead of buying squads of models, you buy individual models at a time. So you could have 3 guys with bolt guns and 3 guys with special weapons and an HQ and an assault marine, and you can build and it's designed to play as like a skirmish game. So that's really good for when you're getting into it and you can play the games. It does have some slightly different mechanics in there of how things work, but it's good. If you've got your Calth box and you've only built 2 squads up and you're still working on it, go and play some Tactical Strike. It'll get you playing and get you enthused. It's great in part of a campaign series as well. You start off with a kill team Tactical Strike mission and you build up through those. So the next step on for Tactical Strike is Raider missions. So in book 4 there is as part of the campaign session there is Raider missions. Again, aimed at about 1,500, 2,000 points, slightly different Force Org chart, but it's these kind of small-scale skirmish missions. There's some special missions in there and stuff as well. Great for building on and stuff as well. And the other type of battle that gets played a lot, and if you're getting into Heresy and starting to listen to podcasts, getting into scenario, you'll hear a lot about Zone Mortalis. Zone Mortalis is designed to reflect battles inside a building, inside a spaceship, inside a space station and catacombs. It's really small scale models, so it's infantry and dreadnoughts running around tight corridors, blowing the crap out of each other. So that again is aimed at about 1,000 to 1,250 points, maybe even 500 points upwards. It's small scale skirmishes. Does require a bit of a special board because you want to build up your walls and stuff to let you get around in, but Zone Mortalis is great, and that is in book 1 and book 3. But the core rules for that is a downloadable PDF from Forge World. So you download the Forge World PDF for that, which is Zone Mortalis games, and the book 1 and book 3 have the 30k expansions off that, so you can look at that. So yeah, any other things you can think about? Playing different ways of playing the game, Stu?
Covered them all, really, haven't you?
I've fully serial killered that bit, didn't I?
That is it. But there's different versions. Most people will play standard Heresy games, and then you'll hear a lot about Zone Mortalis, as Tom said. You hear less about Tactical Strike and Raider missions and things, but it really depends how many models you got, what your group's got, how much time you've got. So there's options.
Yeah. The last thing to mention then with core rules is the Age of Darkness does have its own allies matrix as well about how that works. So this is, again, we'll speak to 40k players, but this is who can join with who. And this isn't just Space Marines joining Solar Orcs. This is legions being able to ally with other legions. So you'll find out, the word bearers and the Ultramarines can't be bosom buddies and hug each other on the battlefield. They're not going to work well together. So some legions will ally better in with other legions. Some legions ally in with Mechanicum better than others. Some of them ally in with Imperial militia more. So it has its own force allies matrix. So if you are looking at allied detachments and things, just be careful. There is that. But I imagine if you're just starting off, you're probably building one army. But it's just something to be aware of. Cool. Should we go into building your first army then?
Absolutely. So again, we're not going to go into detail of what to do exactly with your new toys, because that's really is a show in itself. But it's more about the kind of the structure and how you do it, and how it might be different to 40k, I suppose. Yeah.
So again, I'll go back to this point. A lot of people have said to me, "Would you play Heresy? It's just Space Marines." Yeah, it is and it isn't, but I tell you what, when you delve into it, the 18 legions are very, very different. Now, the way we build armies for Space Marine legions, so I'm going to start with legions, is generally go and find a legion you like the look of, and that'll give you some special rules and some kind of flavour to it, and then you'll look at what's called Rite of War. So what you need to do to access a Rite of War is you need to take a unit with the Master of the Legion special rule. This in your Space Marine Legion list is your Praetor, or a console with a Delegatus upgrade. Primarchs give you this Master of the Legion rule as well, but I'm kind of going to leave them out for the moment because that's a whole different ball game because we're talking Lords of War there. But if you bought your Calth set, you've either got your Terminator or your Power Armoured character. This would be your Praetor or your console with Delegatus console. That'll give you access to Rite of Wars. Rite of Wars really restrict how you build your army. That's really how you're going to start to say, right, how is my army going to function and work? So I'll give you a quick example. One of the best ones to stand out is you take the Orbital Assault Rite of War. Now, 40k players, especially Space Marine 40k players, will be very used to the fact you can just buy drop pods. You just buy a drop pod and stick any unit up to 10 in it. You get into Heresy, standard drop pods are not available as a general choice. They're actually a dedicated transport, so they're not available to buy as a Force Org chart. If you open up the Orbital Assault Rite of War, that then allows you to take drop pods as dedicated transports for a lot of units. So if you want to do your drop pod Sons of Horus, Spear Tip Assault Force, you're going to take the Rite of War Orbital Assault. And that's going to allow you then to take all your drop pods and everything else like that you want to hammer drop pods and Terminators into everybody's lines. On the contents of that, there is the Armoured Breakthrough, which is basically take all tanks. If you love tanks, you're a massive tank treadhead, you'll take that because it will allow you to take Predator tanks as troops and things like that. It'll allow you to really go to town with your tanks. So there are a bunch of generic ones, like the two I've mentioned. There are also Legion-specific ones. So do you want to introduce your Stone Gauntlets, Stu, and tell them how that works with your Imperial Fist?
I won't go into all the rules because I think we could go down a rabbit hole there. But each Legion has a couple of different Rite of Wars, and one of the ones for Imperial Fist gives them sort of buffs for certain types of troops, so breaches, and gives them extra toughness, makes them better at shooting their bolters and things like that. I don't want to get into the sort of the minutiae of the special rules because if you're very new to the game, your eyes might start glazing over a little bit. But I think Rite of Wars give you some special rules that give your lists flavour. Make them seem even more like your Legion than the Legion special rules do. And then there's some generic ones, as Tom's already talked about, that you might pick because you want your army to do a specific thing. So I think the best thing to do
so your Stone Gauntlet
is actually sit and read them all, read your way through them all before you pick your list and work out which one's going to suit your play style, because these really do sort of guide what you'll choose in your army. There'll be restrictions on what you can choose. There'll be things you have to choose. So it's really important that you look at these maybe before you buy any extra models other than what you might have in your starter boxes. And you'll have things you think, well, I'm never going to do that because I don't like lots of tanks, but I definitely want to have jetpacks and drop pods, and things will naturally call out to you. So, but have a read through them all, and you'll find two or three things that really kind of stand out. I think I love the way this looks. This goes with this passage I've read in this book. This does this or that. So I think that's the way to look at it, really.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I kind of find when I'm thinking about Space Marines, two things go hand in hand. What Legion do I want, and what Rite of War is going to go with that, and how is that going to mesh? So if somebody says to me, I bought Calth and I want to do an army, what do I need to think about? I say, what Legion do you want to do? What Rite of War do you want to do? How do you want that? Here's your army. How do you want that to play? Like I said, I think I said it earlier, you could take an all siege tank World Eaters list. Now, great, you can take your Rite of War. That'll give you access to all the tanks you want. But are you going to get the most out of that Legion's special rules there? Now, you can do either or. You can say, I don't really care that the World Eaters get loads of shit for charging because I want all the tanks and I want to build this company of exiles World Eaters who've been stuck in the artillery company because they failed their Primarch and, they're bitter and twisted now. Yeah, great. You can build a fluff out of that, but the two will really shape what you're doing. And you will find there are certain combinations that work very well together and certain combinations that don't work together. But again, it all comes down to that having fun thing. Do what the hell you want. So then the Robo-Men, we've got a general Tag Martyr army list. So we talk about Space Marine Legions, the Mechanicum talk about Tag Martyrs. Tag Martyrs are a gathering of superhuman Robo-Cybermen slapped together into an army. So their general list is the Tag Martyr list, which is kind of very open and take what you like. Their specialist, their kind of version of Rite of War is the Ordos. So the two, and I am going to apologise because, like I think Stu said earlier, if you want to know a lot about Mechanicum, go and listen to the Sons of Heresy. Brendan does a very, very good demonstration of it and talks about it. I'm going to give you a very brief overview. The two that I really know of are the Ordo Reductor and the Ordo Cybernetica. Ordo Reductor is shell the crap out of people and destroy everything, grind it into the dust with the dirtiest, filthiest weapons you can get your hands on. Ordo Cybernetica is robots. Loads of robots everywhere. And that's kind of how you go. So you can see how by picking Reductor or Cybernetica, that's going to influence the way your army's put together,
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Or you go for the standard mix of the lot, so you've got three general sort of overall builds you can do with that book.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to apologise. That's probably not the best overview of Mechanicum. We are lacking our Mechanicum player tonight, but if you really want a really good erudite example of how the Mechanicum works, go and check out Brendan's review on Sons of Heresy. He did a really good job on that. So then we got our militia list. And while we've got just basic humans everywhere, humans getting squashed under the trample of the superhumans war, the way they build flavour into their list is provenances. So you'll take your Lord Marshal, which is your HQ character. That will allow you to access what they call provenances of war. And these are where you're really going to build your army fluff off that. So there are ones like the Warp Cult, which are very strong. So you'll take your Warp Cultist provenance, and that will push you down the route of then doing your screaming, wild chaos cultist kind of horde. There are other ones like Survivors of the Dark Age of Technology, which is going to give you buffs to. Oh Jesus, I can't remember now, Stu. This is where it all falls apart. Let me open up my book.
I don't think it matters too much remembering all of the individual provenances.
I just want to kind of give a bit of an
looking
example.
it up, I suppose the best way of thinking of them, they are again they're special rules that add flavour to your army, and you combine them to make your army play in a certain way based on some history, some fluff you've read, or some modelling opportunities you've got, some models you've got that you want to make squats, so you find the special rules that make them seem like squats the most. You want to make some cyber lizard men on a planet that you've made up, so you find the rules that will best give you the special rules that make your models work and act like that on the table.
Yeah, here we go. So like I said, I don't want to go through all the rules, but Survivors of the Dark Age of Technology, +1 to your basic armor save, and you can give them advanced weapons, which makes all las rifles +1 strength. So you can kind of see how that builds that flavour of, this is kind of a technocracy that survived the Dark Age of Technology with a lot of their technology in hand, and you've got things like feral warriors and abhuman helots. So if you don't want to go warp cult, but you want to kind of do you're not quite strictly human, but tolerated by the Imperium kind of mutants. You've got your abhuman helots and your feral warriors. So this is what I was saying earlier about the militia list being one of the best. I mean, there are so many provenances and so many, and because you can pick two with your Lord Marshal, you can take one and another one. You can really mix and match. Now there are some restrictions in them saying you can't, if you take this one, you can't take the other one, but you can really combine them up to really make exactly what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So you've had a think, you've got your books, you've had a look at the basic rule changes, you've got your army principles built up, you've got what you want to do. So where do you start buying models then, Stu?
We should cover the last two things, the last two armies that we haven't covered in that really is the Solar Auxiliary and Questoris Knights again.
Oh yeah. Oh no one's interested in that crap.
In the Knights. I don't know much about the Knights lists, to be honest with you, so I don't know where you're at.
I will admit to some ignorance on there. Knights are very much the same.
I think the Knights and Solar
there is the
Auxiliary are both
Knights
quite compact lists. I think that's probably the best way of describing it.
Yes. Knights, you've got you take your models, you've got your knights, your options, your knights. They do have varying different roles, how you can change your knights up. But in terms of force organisation and the way you sort of build them, it's more kind of picking knights and then tweaking how they work to get the best out of them, as opposed to a knight list is a knight list. It's a knight household. They're very you can tweak them and make them in your fluff, and you can do stuff, but it's not as big a range.
I think that's a good.
Do you want to give us some Solar Orcs then, Stu, as you're our Solar Orcs man?
Very similar, to be honest with you. Very similar to the question. It's a much more compact list. There's not much there to give it flavour other than you doing it yourself with the unit selections. You've got a core troop choice, your LAS sections, and you've got sort of a more of elite infantry. Your Velatares, you can give them slightly different weapons, but that's your flavour for your humans really, because they're all elite. You can take Ogrins, but other than that, that's your only sort of core troops. And then there's a large selection of tanks and a couple of flyers. But again, you're not choosing providences, you're not choosing rights of war, so you're not choosing any of those flavour rules that affect the whole of your force. They're very much, they are what they are, compact, like the Questoris Knights. So thought it'd better touch on them. People wonder why we left them out, but it's they're not managed in the same way as the other lists.
Yeah, they're quite. If you're going in to build a knight list or a solar orcs list, you're buying into that army anyway, and you're doing it that way. There's not a huge amount of range, and we'll probably get emails from people telling us, it's wrong. So if you think we're completely off the ball with solar and knights, give us a shout and let us know where we're completely off with. So, right, going into the shop then, you're going to go to a friendly local gaming store. Where should we start buying models then?
Right then, so obviously we're not going to shout out our sponsors again, and so that's where you've got to buy your models. So you may have already listened to this. You may already have one of the 2 starter boxes. Chances are you've got Prospero because it was the latest one out. You might have just picked that up. You may have picked up the Calth box set as well. I think they're really both decent places to start. I think if you were going to choose one, Calth is probably better because it's a more complete starter army in a box. You've got characters there you can use. You've got a Dreadnought, whereas the Prospero box, while you've got 30 Marines that you can build pretty much into any Marine unit you want to, you've got your Custodes, you've got your Sisters, you've got a Thousand Suns only character, and you've got a very wolfy Space Wolves only character as well. So they're not quite as good use to someone starting out and not knowing quite where they want to go with the direction on the boxes. Though, if you want the ultimate starter, pick up both, because then you've really got an excellent base for a whole legion.
Oh, you'll have everything you ever need.
Apart from adding tanks and other bits of expensive stuff afterwards. But if you're only going to buy one, I'd buy probably. Unless you love Mark 3 armor that much, then obviously go with what you like the look of. But
yeah, I think the way I've described it before is Calth is an army in a box. That is you can literally, if you use the right of war, you can make a 1,500 point army straight out of that box without buying anything else. So you can literally put that on the table. Prospero maybe is more of an expansion. You can build an army out of it. If you were doing Thousand Suns or Space Wolves, very much so, there's an army in a box for you there. If you're doing a different legion, unless, like you said, Stu, unless you're dead set on doing Mark 3, you might find that you need to buy more stuff to add to your Prospero box straight away to get yourself out on the table. But I would then suggest, once you've got your Calth or your Prospero set, you look at maybe Forge World for a centerpiece model or two, a Primarch, a big tank, a couple of models that will really help you, that will give you a big boost to your army. That's kind of where I'd look. I wouldn't go to Forge World and go and dump 500 quid on everything ever, because you'll probably find that you'll put your army on the table, you'll play with it a little bit, and you'll think, nah, I don't really like that model, or I wish I'd have done something slightly different. So maybe 1, maybe 2 centerpiece models for your army from Forge World. I think that's a fairly reasonable second step, Stu.
And don't be frightened just to go and play some games with your Calth or your Prospero box first. Find your local club, find whoever's playing Heresy in your area. Tell them that you're new. Tell them that this is all you've got. And if they won't pick an army that matches that with that in mind, then you don't want to be playing them anyway. And to be,
send a picture of them to Ryan Kimmel and he'll piss on them.
Yeah, and if you are new to Heresy Podcast, you haven't got a clue what that's about. And it sounds a little bit disturbing, not quite as bad as it sounds. But tell people you knew. Everyone in there's Heresy is so friendly and so welcoming to new players that people will want you to play. They'll want new players to play against, so they're going to support you and get a couple of games in, and they'll help you, and they'll say, well, maybe you add this tank, add this thing.
Go and buy 3 quad
you really like White Scars. Well, have you seen the Scimitar jet bikes? Or you want to do Iron Warriors? Well, have you seen these Medusa tanks? They're going to help you. They're going to point you towards the stuff that suits your army as well, and they'll help you choose. So, but just unless you've got more money than you can care about, don't go straight out just picking stuff from Forge, or try and think about it a little bit first. Play a few test games, I'd say.
Yeah, when we say centerpiece model, it doesn't need to be a Primarch or a Baneblade or something like that, or a Fellblade. It could just be a Sicaran Venator tank or a Sicaran Battle tank, something that's, like that. It doesn't have to be, a Predator Executioner, one of the Forge World Predators, just something, that gives you a bit. You don't have to go out and blow 80 quid on a Primarch as your third model. Go and just find yourself a couple of nice models you like. And really, especially when you start, pick things you like the look of that you think are cool, because you're much likely to keep playing if you're playing with the stuff you like. Sitting there and painting and worrying about models that you don't particularly like or enjoy, but because you think it's going to be the best, you're not going to enjoy it. Go and pick things you like. You may find that a model you like, and after playing a few games, it's not as good as you thought it was. But oh well, it's a model you like. You've got a model you like, and then you can do maybe something different with it or change it out for something else eventually. But you've still got a model you're pleased with.
You'll naturally gear towards, if you like tanks and you want to put men in tanks and ride them up the table, then maybe pick up a Land Raider or a Spartan or something, because they're going to be useful in most lists, especially a Spartan. That's always a good buy. You're going to most kind of ground.
It's a lot of money, but you're never going to be disappointed.
If you want a fly type list, then maybe look at pick a fly that you like the look of. If you you want flyers and you want them and you want your list, just pick something you like the look of. But there will be things that are more useful than others.
Yeah, thinking about you're saying about your Spartan, it's a beautiful model. You're never going to be disappointed. But if you're going in for a Sons of Horus drop pod list, it's not going to do you any good. So maybe your centerpiece model then you look at is a Dreadclaw. If you're feeling braver, Charybdis. But you think about what you're trying to do with your army.
That's why it's worth playing a couple of 1500 type point games with your box sets. Play around with a couple of Rites of War. Have a look at your Legion, and then thinking, this is the game I want to play. This is a style. I want to fly stuff in. I want to drop stuff in. I want to trundle across the table. I want to sit in the corner and fire stuff from a long way away. Once you know what you want to do, then the future buys become almost obvious, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a 40k player and you've got, 40k drop pods and stuff, and you say, do you mind if I just proxy this in as an Anvilus for a game? If you're new and you're starting with me, I go, yeah, no problems. If you're still doing it maybe a year down the line, I'll be going, look, come on, guy, you've been playing for a year, get your finger out and get an Anvilus now. But, nobody's ever, no heresy player is going to, if you say, look, I'm 30 curious, I kind of want to get into it, would you mind me running my drop pod as an Anvilus for one game just to see how it goes before I buy one? Yeah, cool, great, fine, I want to play. Let's have some fun. I don't want you to go and spend 50 quid on a model that's crap. So, but talk to people and you'll find your way through it.
You can use anyway. I mean, you will sometimes come across 30k players that really, really just like the resin stuff. You can use standard 40k rhinos. They were around at the time.
Yeah, Mars pattern rhinos.
I prefer the look of the Demios, but the Mars pattern rhinos are allowed. Same with the Land Raiders as well. They were around at that time. Again, I prefer the
the Phobos, the plastic Land Raider is the Phobos pattern Land Raider.
Absolutely. So you can use those.
People say to me all the time,
you've got them in 40k armies and you're going for the same Legion.
Phobos Pro, yes. I've triggered somebody with that Land Raider comment because somebody's got it wrong. Phobos Pro is one of them. Whichever one is
rhinos as well, but
screw you then. If you're going to piss on somebody's off.
Absolutely.
I would rather see somebody who's had a good time and has done an amazing job with their plastic army than a really salty, shitty, all resin player. It's about the attitude. Yeah, if you've just taken your 40k successor chapter that's completely off the wall and said, this is my Blood Angels army, I'm going to go, well, all right, we'll play a game like that so you can enjoy it. But no, it can't make the effort with me to play Heresy. But, so if you turned up with your all plastic Mars pattern rhinos because that's what you want to do, and they're painted up cool, and they're nice, and they look good, and they fit your army, great, fine, cool, awesome. I'll play games with you. I'm not a resin master race. I do like to wind people up with the resin master race, but do you know what, to be perfectly honest, Stu, I fucking hate working with resin. I love working with plastic. It works. I'm not a modeler. I like plastic, but I can work with resin and I'll manage it. But plastic. If you give me the option, if I can buy something in plastic or I can buy in resin, I'm probably going to buy the plastic one anyway. But until the plastic Demos Rhino comes out, I'll persevere with the resin. Cool. So really, I guess a lot of people are going to say, what do I do with my Calth box to make an army? Well, we don't really want to get into huge detailed list sections. So what we're going to do with that really is come back after Christmas and we will start looking at what can I do in my Calth and my Prospero box. We're going to get Nick, our resident 30k sub on it.
We set him some
he's
homework
crunchy
already, so that he's going to look at I think a list that you can make just from the Calth box, a list that you make just from the Prospero. You obviously might need to buy a few more things and add to that, and then the kind of list you can make using both boxes, and then we'll talk about what kind of purchases you might want to do from Forge World on top of that. And that's been covered before, probably by other podcasts about a year ago when Cal first came out, but it's definitely worth going over again. And it's we're not going to try and make a beat face list. It's an idea of keeping a balance between
where's a good solid
nice
start
between using what you've got,
core
keeping
unit.
the cost to a sensible level, but then also going away and maybe buying a couple of bits of resin niceness like we were talking about a few minutes ago.
Yeah, where should we go and get a nice sensible thing? So with the Mechanicum and the Militia, their starting points are a bit more. There is no Mechanicum box, there is no Militia box. So those sorts of armies, it's going to be really thinking about your list and starting there. I mean, Mechanicum, Thalax, Castellax, Amagos, you're never really going to go on Thralls, but you're going to need to think about the route you're going down. First, Militia, there is nowhere to start. There are no models.
It's so flexible.
That's really going to come down to your idea.
It's flexible. You can kind of do. You will need a lot of troops, though. We're not talking about 10-man squads of Astra Militare or Guard. We're talking big amounts of troops. So be prepared.
You can take inducted levy in 50-man squads. I think I was talking to Kurt, and one of our buddies, Kurt. I think he got 300 infantry in at 1,500 points.
Yeah.
So, it can go absolutely bonkers. So, lots of bodies. But I think if you're going to go into Militia especially, you've got an idea in your mind of what you want it to look like, and you're going to have an idea of where you're going to want to start with that. So they're especially, I mean, if you want a good Mechanicum starting point or a Militia starting point, send us an email, send us an idea. I'd really like to do a Mechanicum list. I love robots. Where's a good place to start? And we'll try and build you a 2,000-point Mechanicum list or a 2,000-point Militia list based on your ideas.
We probably won't do the
to give you a
one.
start.
Nick will, or we'll get someone else to do it, because you'd have absolute
we'll get
tripe if Tom and I try to do that. But something I just want to go back on when we're talking about using the Calth and Prospero box. If you've come from 40k and you're looking through, you want to build them and you want to be able to use them in 30k, and you haven't bought the red books yet, don't start sticking weapons on them. Tactical squads are very different beasts.
Oh yeah.
You've not got your heavy weapon and your special weapon in your 10-man tactical squad. It doesn't work like that. Legion squads are all bolters really, and then you pick support squads and they might have all of the same heavy weapon or all of the same special weapon. So I think someone mentioned that, and I think it fits in nicely now. Just if you're sitting there with your glue waiting to build stuff, listen to this. They don't really go together like that. You can take a veteran squad, which can have some different options in it, but they don't build like 40k tac squads. So do read the rules before you start gluing them all together, because you might find you've glued the wrong weapons on.
Yeah, you can build squads with heavy and special weapons, but they're your veteran squads, and generally, unless you run a specific right war, they're going to be an elite choice anyway. So if you do, you will see in Calth especially, they do actually they build squads with heavy bolters and special weapons in them, but they are building veteran marine squads, and veteran marine squads are different from your tactical squads. As Stu said, your tactical squads are 20 dudes, 10 to 20 dudes with bolt guns. That's it, Your veteran squads are where you can start throwing in the odd special and heavy weapon in there. But if you do want to start building your bodies now, build Marines with bolters. You can't go wrong. That if you're going to do a Legion list, you're going to have Marines with bolters in it. That's going to be a standard. So, yeah, cool. What I suggest we're going to do is we stop for a musical break here, Stu, and then we'll come back and do some more. Welcome back then, guys. I'm going to continue my serial killer monologue then. because you're not all fed up of listening to me talk shit about this game yet then. So, right, you've got your Cal set, you've got your Prospero, you've built it up, you've thought about your army list. What do we need to do next, Stu? Where do we go from here?
So you need to work out where you're going to play and what you're going to play on. So what else do you need? So if you were a 40k player, then you've probably not got an issue there. You've probably got a gaming club and a group of mates, and you might have terrain, or you might have a club that has mats and terrain and things like that. If you're completely new to wargaming or have been away for a very, very long time, what else do you need other than your Prospero box and the rule books we've mentioned? Well, you're going to need a table. I'd say a 6x4 size table is what most games are played on. You wouldn't really want to go much smaller, even for the smaller games. Yeah. And as we've already mentioned, this game doesn't work too well at small sizes. You're going to need some terrain to go on it, and possibly a mat. So if you've been away from gaming for the last 20 years and you've been drawn back by the Heresy box set, gaming mats probably weren't around back then. You were used to playing on goblin green wooden tables, and which are still around at most gaming clubs, to be honest with you. But there's these lovely neoprene gaming mats with printed stuff on. GW do their own 4x4 one for £1 million. But there's some other ones available. But
GameMat.eu, FatMat, God, there's loads.
Just Game Mat, that's all you need. Game Mat.
Game Mat. Do your shill stuff, Stu. Do your salesman stuff. So for those who you know, Income Gaming are the UK suppliers for Game Mat, and to be perfectly honest, I do really think they're really good quality. So go check them out as well. We'll do our sales rep bit there.
Absolutely, I love mine, and I will be buying more in the future. But you can play on you could play on a kitchen table if you want, but if it's smaller than 6x4, it's going to affect the way the game plays. So the reality is, there's probably only one person listening to this that's not played 40k or other war games before and doesn't already have all this stuff. But reality is, you will need to get down to B&Q and sort yourself out some MDF board that can be cut down to easy stackable sizes under a bed, maybe a couple of 3 2x4 sections or something like that. Get them hinged together, but you will need a board to play it on. And it's nice if you paint it, and if you can afford to go out and buy a mat, then these mats look amazing.
The mats are such a good way to get yourself a really nice looking table straight. I mean, I think you're talking 40-50 quid for a 6x4 now, aren't you?
Yeah, they're around the £50 mark for most. So hover around that area. And if you've not seen a mat before, if you are new to it, think of a mouse pad that's the size of your whole gaming table with printed sort of images on there. I'm not talking about 3D stuff other than the GW one. We're not talking about printed trees and things. We're talking about some dusty desert ground, or maybe street scenes, and then you buy your terrain to go on the top. And GW does a whole range of plastic terrain you can get to stick on there and build. You can get loads and loads and loads of MDF stuff, which is definitely the sort of more cost-effective way of building up terrain at the moment. You can go on eBay and there's loads of stuff out there. Income Gaming again sells some, so do other war games stores and stuff as well.
Yeah, but other suppliers are available.
Absolutely, MDF terrain is great, to be honest with you. It's really good value. It comes unpainted. You stick it together with a bit of PVA, hit it with a black spray can, and it's usable from there. And then if you want to go and add some other painting techniques on top of that just to make it look better, then great. But you will need terrain, and you will need a decent amount of terrain as well.
You want some good line of sight blocking terrain. You want some scattered terrain.
Yeah.
You want some cover, because cover is quite important for keeping your models alive. You don't want just a wide open plane, because you'll blow each other off the playable. Good line of sight blocking terrain so that your models can't see everybody. Some scattered terrain. Really, I mean, when you're getting into it, think about your table. What do I want? Do I want an urban city fight? Do I want grassy meadows? Do I want lavascape? And it's great because then you tie that into your bases for your army as well. You think, how do I want my army to look on my table? So it's a great thing to do. Now, with game clubs, there are quite a few around. I mean, me and Stu are both members of Pork Chop Gaming, which is our local gaming club. There's the local Games Workshop store as well. They'll generally have a community floating around them, depending on your area. Some areas tend to be more local gaming clubs. Some areas are more focused around the Games Workshop. But there's definitely ways to find the club. The Facebooks and the interwebs now and the social medias are a great way for finding game clubs in your local area.
Absolutely. I mean, there are forums and things you can go to. There's a 30k forum, but I would go to Facebook if you're on Facebook.
Yeah.
I think it's the better way to find out. So I go to Facebook and get in that search, start searching heresy, start looking for there's loads of heresy groups, and then ask on there. I live in this area. Any gaming groups around, and people will pop up and say, "Well, there's a club here," or "I game here," or you'll be surprised how easy it will be to find people.
That's how me and you got introduced, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Is the Pork Chop Game Club Facebook post? I think you stuck a picture up, you stuck a post up going, "Does anybody play Heresy?" And I went, "Yeah, I do," and it kind of spiraled from there, didn't it?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Look at us, less than a year later, and we're in your ears.
Coming in your ears.
Absolutely.
Chorley FM.
I'm sure if you're listening to this, then you already know how to find out communities on the internet. So go and find them. There's loads of them. Absolutely loads of them.
Yeah. So I've slapped my army down on the table and Stu, I've found somebody to play with. I've got a table. What do I need on the table then, aside from my models?
And this does pretty obvious, and you'll find it in the 40k rule book. But you're going to need dice. You're going to need a tape measure. You're going to.
Shall I get all my D8s out?
D6, a D6.
D6. Yeah, no.
You'll have some in your Prospero or Calf box if you've gone that route. If not, you'll have some in your Snakes and Ladders. Though you will need more than one or two. Games Workshop games like to throw bucket loads of them, so you might want to go and buy yourself a dice cube in GW, or buy some from a third party manufacturer, which would be a bit cheaper. But you probably want 20, I'd say, as a minimum, really.
Yeah, I think when you're getting started, 20 dice is not a bad thing. I've got a bag full now, and they're all shit, and they don't roll properly anyway. But I think I might be up to about 30 or 40 dice now that I take with me, because sometimes my vets can charge in and get 40 attacks on the charge, so I tend to roll multiple handfuls of 10 or something because I can't pick up 40 dice at the same time. But yeah, you'll want a fair chunk. You're using for other things, score counting, wound marking, whole point marking and stuff.
A few different colour ones can be quite useful sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're rolling dice and you want to pick out a certain dice for a certain model, unit, character, etc. Or even just to have, like Tom just said, for wound marks. You don't want to be muddled up with the stuff you're rolling for other parts of the game. So, you'll need to scatter dice as well. Without going into detail about describing it, you need the 40k rulebook, so it's probably... read the first few pages of that tells you what you need. It's going to be far more succinct than our ramblings at this time, telling you what you need.
Yeah, you're going to want your templates, your small and your large blast and your flamer templates. Again, they're cheap as chips. Put them onto eBay, GW templates. You'll pick up sets for a couple of quid. The sets are usually sold in the GW or your local gaming store anyway. And a decent tape measure that measures in inches. Because we are 40k players, 30k players, and we still use the metric system. Because, fuck your Imperial. No, we still use Imperial. Fuck it out.
Yeah.
I'm confused because, we're still in Imperial, so we still talk about inches. We measure in inches, so you're going to want a good tape measure. Longest range, 48 to 60 inches. I mean, generally, a 4-foot tape measure will be
a few 72-inch range on some weapons and stuff, but generally, if you can measure
if it's 72
you'll be all right.
Yeah, if it's 72-inch range, generally on most games you're going to hit if you can see it, you're going to hit it. So, get yourself a tape measure as well, especially important for measuring unit coherency and stuff like that. So,
Poundland,
but again,
fine.
Poundland, yeah. I got loads because I work in a construction company, so I just take them from work. So resources then, we've touched on Facebook groups. Where can you go and get support in the community? Well, Facebook, I mean, me and you are a big fan of Facebook. There are the forums. The forums are excellent. They're great resources. I tend to find the Facebook groups a bit more accessible, easy to find information, but that's me. There are army-specific groups, so you'll tend to find if you type in 30k White Scar players or 30k word bearer players, there is definitely a group under that name, and you'll find a group of like-minded individuals in there. There's painting and modelling groups as well, depending on what your focus is. There's some amazing painting and modelling groups out there. There's Horus Heresy Painting and Modelling and Evia Metal and 1 Hour a Night, to name a few. There's some pretty awesome painting groups out there, isn't there, Stu?
There's loads, and you'll just discover more and more. With one of the things Facebook's really good at, and I hate Facebook. I don't use Facebook for normal, everyday posting pictures of my cat and my kid and stuff like that, but I use it for Messenger and for groups. And once you start joining groups, it will start suggesting. People that are in this group are also in this group, and you think, oh, there's another one, and you can click add and do it that way. So you'll find it grows. So just get on there, get in the search, and start searching Horus Heresy, really, and Horus Heresy Gaming, and loads of stuff will come up.
Yeah, so the next thing kind of ties in is podcasts. So most of the podcasts will have Facebook community groups as well, so you'll tend to find quite a lot goes on in there. But podcasts are a fantastic resource. If you found us, you've probably found some of the others. We're not likely to be the first one you find, but if you have, cool, great. But there are a couple of big ones: Age of Darkness, Imperial Truth, Horus. They're your mainstays. We will put, if you look in the show notes, I don't want to list them all there. We are getting longer and longer, the list of it. There are loads of Heresy podcasts now, actually. It's really cool. The last year or so, there's been a load started up. So, podcasts are great. They'll do sections on lists or units or fluff or, most of our podcasts friends, we've all kind of got a different way of dealing with stuff, haven't we? How we kind of do things. So, you'll find ones you like. You like them all, but it'll be awesome. Go and join the podcast community. It's fantastic.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Love podcasts. They are your hobby company. So if you're sitting and painting away and watching stuff isn't always so good because you can't really keep an eye on it. So listen to podcasts. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah. With that as well, if you can sit and watch things, or if you do like I do sometimes when I'm working on projects, I'll stick a YouTube video in the corner and potter on. There's some great YouTube channels. There's the 30k channel, which is specifically 30k Horus Heresy Battle Reports. Warhammer TV is fantastic for Mr. Duncan and thin your paints now. Mr. Duncan Rhodes will teach you how to paint everything in a really good way.
Well, there's lots of things, isn't it, Warhammer TV? So if you're coming back to the hobby, GW's got their own YouTube channel, effectively. It's called Warhammer TV, and there'll be introductions to new rules and new units, playthroughs of games, teaser videos, and then the famous Duncan doing lots and lots of painting tutorials, and they are brilliant. There's stuff that's very much beginner based, there's some more advanced techniques, but if you're new to painting because of this hobby, watch those videos. They are absolutely brilliant. Really brilliant.
When I get a lot of people ask me, how do I do this? Where do I start with painting? It's one of the first places I send people is go look at Warhammer TVs. That'll give you the fundamentals. There's a lot. So there's a 40k Geeks channel.
Yeah.
Geeks 40k. They're really good. Winter's SEO. He does a lot of
absolutely
40k videos. He's now joined 40k.
Just watched last night with I think the guy's name is Rob, who does the 40k plus 30k blog, which I've talked about before. His army was on there. That was really, really good. What else? There's Guerrilla Miniature Games, does lots of games, but he does loads of really, really good Heresy videos, really high production quality, good camera work, talks through what, you see them playing the game, rolling the dice, which is good if you're new. You will pick up the rules a little bit watching that. Mini Wargaming, loads and loads and loads of Heresy videos on there. WW40K, the Australian guys, they are awesome. If you're from the UK and you've watched Home and Away, if you want sort of typical Aussie blokes, if you want Alf playing 40k swearing and it's hilarious, but it's probably not safe for work, that one. Lots of a bit sweary, a bit drinky, but amazing to watch.
The same with the Outer Circle from Australia as well.
That's a very different thing, that. But awesome.
I mean, one of their playlists, one of their things, they do unit reviews and unit reviews, and the title of those shows are "Is It Shit?" That gives you an idea. It gives you an idea of that kind of thing. But again, if that's your kind of thing, you'll fucking love it. They're brilliant. There's some amazing Heresy community down in Australia, but it's very Aussie, very, very typically Aussie, which is fantastic. They are brilliant. So yeah, I mean, we could rattle on about YouTube channels, but I mean, the best thing to do is events. Get out there and go and join in. Even if you're not ready to play, if there's an event in your local area, go down and see it. we run events in Cheltenham quite regularly, and we have people coming wandering in and having a look at it. So, and you'll find if you go up to somebody and go, "That's cool, I like that," they'll talk to you. We all spend time talking about our armies. We love our armies. We spend all this time painting them and stuff. If you ask us questions about them, we'll want to talk about them. You'll find every Heresy army general will want to just talk shit about his army for hours, won't they?
Absolutely. You sometimes you might regret asking the question, because we like to go off on one and start talking about our little toys. So absolutely, go to an event, even if it's just to watch and get an idea of what the atmosphere
and as
is
soon
like.
as you can, go and jump in. The thing with the 30k events is they are events. They're not tournaments. This is not about punching each other's faces and improving each other. You'll find the majority of Heresy events in the UK are narrative, fun, about enjoying the day, having a good day out. So if you turn up and say, look, I've built my army, I haven't played a lot of games, I don't really know what I'm doing, nobody's going to go, oh, fuck off, dickhead, go back and learn how to play. They'll go, cool, no worries. Well, I'll talk you through it. I'll help you get there. I've played so many games over the last year or so, introducing people into the hobby and helping them with it. I love it. I get to talk about it. We get to, explain rules. And so many times I end up learning because I go, oh, fuck, I don't know how that works. I better have a learn. So,
None of
it's
these
great.
people can write a legal list, but
No, fucking, everybody's learned from me. We don't play legal lists anymore. So get out there, go and join the community, go and get involved. It is such a welcoming community out there, and it's not just a UK community; it is a global heresy conspiracy. I played 40k for a couple of years and never really felt like I was part of anything bigger than my local event, my local scene. Heresy, I've instantly connected with all over the world. I mean, just a podcast for a fact. We got 3 in Australia, 2 in Australia.
Yeah, 3 if you include. No, it's 2, isn't it? Yeah, two in Australia.
Yeah, two Aussies, couple of Americans, the Canadians, 3 in Sweden, 3 in the UK.
There's 3 in America, so.
3 in America, yeah. It is instantly a global community. You just join a global community, so it is pretty awesome. So. Cool then, Shoot. This is kind of your bit then. What do I need to do? What do I need to do to get my Heresy army ready for the table? Because the one thing you will find with this hobby is it is a hobby. The emphasis is on hobby, not just beating each other's faces. So I want to come to your event. I want to look cool. What sort of things should I do?
Yeah, so you're gonna need those lovely miniatures that are on their nice grey plastic sprues, built and painted to take part in most Heresy events. Some 40k events don't have requirements on painting. A lot more Heresy ones do, because I think the whole culture in the community is about feel and look and fluff. So it's very much a hobby as a whole thing. But if you've never built miniatures before, you probably are starting with one of those starter boxes. I doubt you're listening to this thing, I want to start Heresy, and you've ordered loads of resin from Forge World. I imagine that you're sitting with Calth or Prospero. Read the instruction guides, how to put them together. I know I'm not assuming that everyone listening to this is going to be male, but the majority probably are, and we don't like to read instructions. We like to pretend that we know how, and we can work it out, whether that's an IKEA shelving unit or whether that's directions when you're lost in a town where you don't know. We don't like to people tell us how to do stuff, but do read the instructions. Even if you're a veteran hobbyist, I think there's worth reading the instructions. I haven't built the Mark III yet, but I think some of the backpacks that match certain. They're split into 2 or 3, and they match certain parts and don't fit with others, and you can get bits the wrong way around. So it is worth reading the how to build instructions. So the plastic miniatures, you're going to need some polystyrene cement. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Or plastic glue. So if you're in a hobby store, GW do some. Another really good one is Revel, but they do really, really nice plastic glue. And I would suggest the ones that look like they've got a needle in, so they've got a little sort of metal tube.
Fine.
They're really good to kind of make sure you get the glue where you want it. The squeezy tubes tend to get a bit of air in, you squeeze it, and then the whole tube descends to empty itself out onto your table. So I'm not going to tell you how to build the models though on a podcast. That'd be horrible to listen to. But follow the instructions and glue them together. You'll find that the plastic might need a bit of cleaning up, and I'm not talking about washing it or polishing it. I'm talking about they might have little bits of plastic that need trimming off. or filing away, so you'll need some clippers, and these are again available from where you've got your box set from or not. Go to Games Workshop, go to your local hobby store, and ask for some clippers to clip your plastic models from the sprue. I know Army Painter do a really, really nice starter kit. It's got clippers in there. I think it has glue. It has files, which I'll come on to next. But a really nice way of getting all the tools you need in one box. You won't need some files or some very, very fine sort of sandpaper or emery boards to remove the mould lines, or what GW like to call them now, seams. I think that's the new thing on one of the latest videos.
Yeah, that's the term
seams,
now, isn't it?
That GW do something called a seam remover tool. I don't have it. I've heard it's very good though, but basically you'll screw.
I do, and I like mine.
There you go. So if Tom likes it, everyone should own one. But if you look at a plastic model when it's built, or even just pick up a kid's toy, you'll often see a seam line where the thing's been put together. That's where the two edges of the mould.
With the plastic, yeah, the two edges of the mould come together, which is why we would all call it a mould line rather than a seam line.
Absolutely. Now, you can leave it on there. Your models will look a lot better without it. And I think if you, as a new player, build your models, leave them on there, paint them, and then 6 months down the line, you might regret not taking the time to take those off. So I scrape them away with a modelling knife. You need to be careful if you do that, but scrape them away with a knife, use the mould removal tool, and go on YouTube and Google how to clean up and build plastic models. There's going to be hundreds of videos out there, including on Warhammer TV as well, about how to build and assemble miniatures and get them together. If you've got resin models, you will need super glue. You won't be able to stick them together with plastic glue, so that's another tool on top. What else do we use? We use little drills, so pin drills.
Yeah, I think the first thing to say with resin is go and watch the GW YouTube video working with resin. It's a very, very good video on how to do it. And the most important thing is give it a damn good scrub in warm, soapy water. So when they mould resin, they use what they call a release agent on it. It's basically a chemical that allows the resin to come out of the mould. If you don't clean that off, your undercoat, your primer, your paint will peel off every time you touch it and go back to bare metal because the paint won't bond with it. So make sure you give it a good scrub and a wash first. Watch the video, it does come with that. Once you've done that and it's all prepared, yeah, most definitely super glue to stick it together, pin vices, files, a razor saw, all those kind of things are really good. But again, I mean, I'm going to pass the buck and say watch Mr. Duncan's video because he does an excellent video on how to work with green stuff and how to work with files and stuff. And it sounds very scary when you watch it and you think, oh God, have I got to do this on every single model? No, you don't. The big kits, yeah, if you buy a Spartan assault tank, you're going to have to do quite a bit on it. If you buy a couple of Mark IV Marines in resin, you're going to need to do a little bit with it. But I would seriously suggest going and watching it. Go and watch that video and give it a good bloody wash.
Absolutely. So green stuff, Tom mentioned there, is basically a two-part putty which you can use to fill small gaps that you might have in some of your resin models and even metal models if you ever get your hands on something old. For the plastic ones, you very rarely need it these days. They're so well engineered that they tend to go together pretty smoothly. So this is assuming that you've cleaned it up and you've managed to build your model. Excuse me, there's loads of kind of things you could do about building models, whether you leave the guns off before you paint them, whether you leave the shoulder pads off. I'm not going to go into detail about that now. I'm thinking you assume if you're a brand new painter, you're going to build the whole thing. You may even play some games before you painted it, but you will need to prime your models or undercoat them before you paint. And generally you'll do that using a spray can. GW does its own primer paints. Black or white. The colour you choose will depend on what colour you're going to paint the miniature afterwards. So if you want to paint the miniature white, don't undercoat it black because you're going to have a hell of a time trying to paint the white over the top afterwards, and so on. But again, this isn't going to be a painting podcast. It just gives you an idea that you need to prime your models first before you paint, and then you'll start laying your colour down. You can do that with there's loads of great coloured sprays from Games Workshop. You can buy them from other manufacturers as well. So if you're doing a Blood Angels Legion, you might start, if the first models you've ever painted, by undercoating them black, spraying them red, and and then painting the guns metal and painting the eye lenses in, and then painting their bases, and that's the most basic kind of form you could do. You probably want to do an awful lot more than that, but I think
baby steps, one at a time. If you're brand new,
absolutely, that's the thing. We could talk. Tom and I could talk hours on painting. We love our painting. Again, we'll just send you back to YouTube, I think.
Yeah, YouTube is a fantastic resource for painting. Again, I'm going to put my money in there for the Warhammer TV one. The reason I like that so much is the videos are well produced, they're well constructed, they're well, if you really, you've never done a dry brush before, you don't even know what a friggin' dry brush is. They'll show you how to do it. And no matter how many times they've done it in a video, every time they show you it, they'll show you how to do it properly. So you don't have to search back through 25 videos to find all the processes. You can find the one that says painting World Eater Marines, and it will show you it, and they'll show you how the techniques do it. So they're great for getting the basics down.
Yeah.
Once you've got the basics down, go and look at people like Painting Buddha and stuff like that, who'll start giving you more advanced techniques then, and you can start trying things.
Absolutely. I mean, you can do stuff. We have a lot of Tom and I've had a lot of discussions recently about future events that Tom's going to run and we're going to run at the local club, and what level of painting you can accept. Some people don't enjoy painting that much. That's not why they're in the hobby. But we're both a bit kind of, I won't say hard line, but we genuinely believe that anyone can do a basic level of paint. And the most basic thing would be, Games Workshop produces its own range of paints called Citadel. I don't use only Citadel paints. In fact, I use a lot of other manufacturers, but they're a really good place to start. And they've got so many useful products that can give you a good finish without having to necessarily be the most skillful to start with. So you could paint a basic colour, like red. If we go back to the example earlier, they do things called washes, which is kind of watered down paint, which you can paint into the recesses, which add shadow. You can, like I said, then paint the guns a silver colour. You use a wash again to dull that down and put some shadow. And then they even do basing paint pots now that they've got texture in, so you can get this grey straight out of a pot that paints on top of the base that looks like sort of rubbly ground, and again put a wash on that, and suddenly you've got this sort of flat colour. You've got this almost 3D effect to your paint job, and then you're going to look better than some things that we see at certain 40k events, maybe War Machine events, but then nothing's painted. Don't be scared. Don't think I'm not going to be any good at painting, so I'm not going to do it. Make an effort to even do something basic and get it all fully painted and have a go. Doesn't matter what it looks like to start with, but try and do all the stages. Try and paint, if you've got a Space Marine, all the power armor. Try and make it, don't just paint it red. Try and at least paint the bolt gun a different color, and then try and do the basing so it stands out from the rest, so we don't have people walking around in red armor on red bases with red guns. Try and have a go at least, and then go to.
If you're doing your Blood Angels army, do them on snow. That'll look great.
Yeah.
If you're doing my Ultramarines are blue, very bright blue, cobalt blue, so they're on quite dark, it's quite basic grey bases to the same, and not to detract from the miniature. But I mean the thing with painting is there's tons of stuff on YouTube. Go and watch videos, all that kind of stuff. Don't be afraid to think about painting classes. You've got your high end MKA painting classes for, you can turn up with one of those as a brand new noob. You might want a little bit of painting background before that, but there are different levels. There's YouTube videos, there are people who run courses on a basic level. Talk to the community, post your work in progresses up. Say, this is what I've done now. What do you think I could do to improve? I mean, one of the things I get is I quite regularly get pictures of models from people I know going, this is what I've painted. What do you think? And I love talking about painting to people and talking about models and doing stuff. And, the community is very engaging. You will always get some probably knobhead who go, put your paintbrush down, you're a dickhead. But, well, fuck them. They're idiots. And generally you don't find them in the heresy community.
I've not seen anything like that on Facebook at all.
What you'll tend
people
to...
are generally really supportive. But...
Yeah, what you'll tend to find is people going, that's awesome. Have you thought about trying this? Have you thought about trying that? It's a good community, and it's a supportive community, because we all want a hobby. There is a lot more emphasis on a hobby in this community. And that is not saying, you've got your Golden Demon Slayer Sword winning painters out there who are, knocking the 7 barrels of shit out of the painting level. the majority of people are not painting at that level. You know, the people who are quite vocal on these pages, who do post a lot, tend to be at that level because they're the sorts of people who like to post their pictures, like knobheads like me who like to post their pictures. But don't be put off by the fact that you think you'll never get to that level. 12 months ago, I was not half the painter I was, and I've spent a lot of time in practicing and improving. So, you know, don't be afraid to put your pictures up and seek feedback.
Absolutely. It's a hobby for people of all different skills and abilities and focuses. Just like playing sport, you know, to play football, you don't have to be. I hate football, but I don't hate it. But you don't have to be Wayne Rooney. But you can play on a park with jumpers for goalposts, and it's just as valid. You can still play football, and it can still be your hobby. And that's the same for wargaming in general, I believe. That you can still be interested in wargaming, but you don't have to have won a painting award. But have a go and get paint on it at least.
And we do, you know, people. There is a push in this hobby that we want to see painted armies because we're telling stories. You know, it is about telling a story and being immersed in the environment, and having a painted army does lend to that. And I tend to find people who come to Heresy want to paint. You know, they want to do these things. So, you know, don't be afraid to reach out and talk to people and get involved in your local scene as well, because there will be, you know, that within our group at our local gaming club, there is a big range of people who have never painted an army before and are starting to learn to, people who have painted at an okay level for a long time and trying to push it on, and people who are painting at a higher level. And, you know, we're all trying to encourage each other. You know, we want to get as many people painting as well as we can.
And if you really, really, really want to play, and you love the fluff, you love the history, and you want your army to look good on the table, but you just painting doesn't interest you, don't think it's something you can do, or it might be a physical reason why you can't do it, then there are other options, not free options, but you can look at commission painters. There are people out there that you can pay to paint your miniatures for you. I'm one of them. There might be an ad coming up soon with some details about that on that, but that's not why I mentioned it. But there are. I don't want you to think if there's some reason why you can't.
But it may
paint,
even be,
doesn't mean you can't play Heresy either.
Yeah, you may even, you know, you might be an okay painter and you like painting and you're happy to paint your tanks and your marines, but you don't want to paint a Primarch. You know, that's quite a step up. There are people like Little Legends who specialise in centerpiece models. You know, you throw a bit of money behind it, get yourself a real centerpiece for your army. So, you know, you don't have to get your whole army commission painted. And same, you know, you could send Stu a message, say, look, I've got a fell blade and I don't know where to bloody start painting it. Can you paint my fell blade for me? Yeah, great. We'll paint that. You do the rest, and I'll get your fell blade done. So, you know, there are things like that. So, I've got my lovely painted army. I've based it all up. I've either used the GW paints or I've done more with basing. Shall I just slap it all in a shoebox and take it to the game store?
Yeah, no, we don't want to do that. I have seen that, especially with plastic armies. Generally in fantasy, where people take whole Skaven armies in a shoebox or something. But you want a way of getting your miniatures to your even storing at home, but you want a way to protect them. Most people will go for a miniatures case. Games Workshop make a good range of miniatures cases, and I know you use some of those, Tom. I don't really use them. But
very flexible, the GW ones. They come with this zigzaggy foam in them. Great for being able to put lots of different models in the same case. Not always the best at looking after specific models. So I find my GW case is very versatile. I can kind of throw whatever I want into it. But I bought my Storm Eagle. I built my Storm Eagle. It didn't fit in it. So I bought a KR case with a custom piece of foam that's cut to fit that exact model in it. It transports that exactly. So there are options in there.
Yeah, so if you search KR Multicase, you'll find their website, and there's loads and loads of things on there. Another big company is Battle Foam. They make cases, specialised cases for all different systems. There's loads of pre-cut foam, so you search through 40k and you'll find foam that's already made to fit a lot of the units and tanks and things from the 30k universe. What else is there around? I recently bought a case from it's a new company it's a new product called Tabletop Tyrant Cases out of Gifts and Geeks in the UK. I wanted to see what it was like. It was a bit cheaper than Battle Foam. I would say that the bag quality is similar to KR, but without the cardboard cases inside, and the foam is the same size as Games Workshop generic foam from before. So there's lots of bag options out there. If you search miniature carry cases, you'll find lots of options. Find one that best suits your your budget and requirements depending on the army you've got. Because if you've gone for 5 Questoris Knights, it's not going to fit in a infantry sort of tray with 36 slots in for small individual models. So you'll need to sort of fit to what you got. Another option you can do, which I've done for a while, is use things like really useful boxes, the plastic boxes. If you've got some foam, you can wrap things up and store things in there. The plastic miniatures are quite light, so some people do is they put magnets in the bottom of their bases and stick them to magnet sheets in really useful boxes. There's lots of things. You probably want to do something like that if you're going to go on a really long journey, because they'll end up moving around in the boot of the car, or heaven forbid if you went on a plane you probably wouldn't magnetise stuff. But if you've got a 5-minute drive to your local club, something like a really useful box can be fine as well. So find what you can, spend as much as you can afford. Really, your miniatures are expensive and you spend a lot of time painting them. You want to make sure you look after them. So
that's kind of my thing. Is we won't put any bones about it. Heresy is not a cheap hobby. There are ways of making it cheaper. You don't have to go out and blow everything on resin, but it's not going to be. Your model. You've taken your time. You've spent your hard-earned money on it. Invest in something to transport them in. Whether you go out and blow a full-blown KR backpack and foam and system for it to fit every single model perfectly, great. You get some very useful books and some bubble wrap, and you kind of make your own. Fine, that's great. Just protect your army. Like you said, you spent a lot of time on it.
Sheets of foam on eBay are really cheap, so there are ways of doing it on a budget if you haven't got an awful lot of money. Also, old GW cases are really good value and really cheap on eBay. You can pick them up for sort of sometimes like £5-6 quid. Sometimes, so, people are moving on to lighter things. So there are things you can do. You can use that shoebox, but just don't dump them all in. Wrap them up in foam or bubble wrap.
Oh God, yeah. I've seen somebody come and take a bloody celebration stab and just pour their infantry from their 2,000 point 40k army onto the table, and just went, oh, it just made me hurt. So yeah, cool. I think bags and foam could be a whole section on its own. We could probably, again, it's one of those ones we could go into. So we've kind of covered it lightly there. There are lots of options. Again, if you've got specific questions and stuff on anything we've talked about, shoot us a message. We've got our G52 Facebook page if you want to share work in progress pictures. Me and Stu are pretty active in there. I won't claim to be a world's greatest painter, but I like to paint. Stu paints for a profession. So if you want some advice, proper professional advice, he's about in there. We're happy to comment.
There. Tom's painting is rather good. So absolutely, get on there and ask questions, and we'll. If we're not there, there's plenty of other people in those groups that they're happy to hop on and give you advice as well.
Yeah, cool. Well, we've had do you want to run through listener questions, Stu, or should we save those for our next episode?
I think let's have a look. Let's read a few out and see.
You see if you got
it. So, Carl, who we were talking about earlier, bought all 6 books in one go. Was asking about the foundations of building forces and things like that. So again, that's something we're going to kind of go into detail in the show after Christmas. So not our next show, which will be a Christmas special.
I think we've given you a structure, things to look at, rights of war and stuff like that. How to construct it, but the specifics on what army and what unit should I put in.
He's talking about sort of gotchas and traps that new players fall into. So we'll definitely cover that.
What you want to do is go out and buy as many destroyers as you can and just run a full force of them.
Absolutely. What else we got? So Wolf Among Us has asked, are you going to try and make lists with the contents of the box? Yes, we are, but that will be in the episode that we put out in the New Year
episode. Yeah.
Let me go on to the Facebook. We had comments in on our page and our group. So we've got a page and a group. So let's have a look at the bit on the group as I'm hastily on my iPad and on my phone trying to open all these things at the same time.
Yeah, come on, it's cracking radio.
This is awesome. This is awesome. Right then, so Chris Page has asked, I never run vets. Could you suggest a few different loadouts for them? Again, that's going to be something for more detail.
All bolters and
sniper. In-drop pods. There we go.
In-drop pods.
That's for you, Ryan. That's for you if you're listening.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely vets is something we could look at. Maybe we look at them as we have a habit of doing fluff units. Maybe we look at vets for one of our fluff sections then, a unit review, because I think that's something. Yeah, there's a lot of combination with vets that we could do. So if we don't cover that next episode, we will definitely put that on the list, high up the list for units to review for
totally
you.
agree. Tom Clowns as he came to our event we did a few weeks ago, but there's a great unit breakdown for beginners. On 1D4chan, and then there's a link for what 40k stuff can be used in 30k. I'll put those links in the show notes. So there's some good resources there. So this shows what our groups are like. So there's people already giving us, not just asking us questions, but giving us some resource for new players. I think that's everyone covered on that bit.
Do we get anything in on the Twitter?
Twitter we have. Lots on Twitter. All right. So let me go to the notifications. This is good. You like me humming along as we...
Yeah, cracking radio this, isn't it? Good, slick professionalism.
It's going through millions of different things and I don't want to copy and paste all into it. Right then, so let's go through them in order then, so reverse order. So Jonathan, at Jonathan Chest, on a scale of 1 to amazeballs, how good is this set? He's talking about the Prospero. Amazeballs, there we go, we've answered that one. If people got both this and Calth and maybe a Marine list, only the Marines, what points range of lists? Oh, we'll probably cover this in more detail, but you can easily, from the Calth box, easy 1,500 up to 2,000 depending on your build, and maybe adding a tank here or there. Both boxes, you could build a full... 12... would build a full list easily, but you're going to not have the balance you need. You won't. You'll need tanks.
Calth at a minimum is about 1,200 points. I think I worked it out once. Bare bones, nothing else on it. It's about 1,200 points. Calth. Prospero I haven't done that with, but you're adding another 30 Marines and specialists. We haven't got sisters points yet, so we're not sure on that. But you could probably do 2,000, 2,500 points straight out of Calth and Prospero.
Easy,
but yeah, you're not going to have maybe the best force in the world on that. If you're taking Custos and Sisters with them, who knows, you might be kicking somebody's dick off with that.
You also asked us to follow up what savings compared to resin. Loads. Go and look how much. I think how much are 10?
When Prospero was touted, I think Prospero worked out as something like 30 or 40% off the equivalent plastics and 40 to 50% off the equivalent resins. So 40 to 50% off your resin is pretty fucking amazing for for Prospero. And bear in mind, there is no other way to buy Sisters and Custos at the moment, so that's kind of factoring them out as well.
Probably stay that way. You might have specialist units or upgrades.
Yeah.
I can't see them doing anything different. So Fickle Brushes asked, what would be a good first run mission? There we go. We've already answered that one. So you'll have listened to
Blood Feud.
Heretic 30k, which I believe is Ben, who's the malicious guy we were talking about. Discussion of small scale games, Kill Team, Tactical Strike, and Zone Mortalis. Yeah, we've covered that. This is good. We've done.
Smash, do it, professionals.
Somber Mine, what books are a must? Adding to Prospero, I think we've covered that at the beginning as well.
Yeah, rule book in the red book for whatever army you want to do.
Minimum. Danger Mouse at 45. Looking forward to this. I'm utter heresy noob, armed with no idea and lots of enthusiasm. So that's good.
It's the same as all of us. I've still got no idea.
You don't want to ever admit to knowing just know stuff. Gavin Watson, explanation of what the various special weapons are best suited to and how it'd be really handy to use on equipped squads. So again, we'll probably go into more.
Depends what you want. Melter for blowing up tanks, plasma for blowing up Terminators, flamers for mincing infantry. So I will give you a more detailed breakdown on that in a bit, but. Yeah, the answer is, well, what is it trying to do in your army?
The last one for now, I was just going to get a bit silly, but best way to set up the 30 Marines, best Rite of War. So we talked about Rite of Wars, really bolters. Maybe build 20 with bolters and leave yourself 10 once you've had a couple of test games. Because at least if you build up 20, build them up as 2 10-man Legion tactical squads, you can play a game then, and you can. Read some Rites of War. Definitely don't build it all if you can, unless you're planning not happy. At least you know you're going to buy models and you're happy to.
If you've got a set of Calth and you want to put an army together, and you're thinking of a rite of war, a good place to start is Pride of the Legion. Get your red book out, have a look at Pride of the Legion. It allows you to take vet squads as your compulsory troops, so your bolter dudes become vets. It gives you some extra stuff you can do with them. It's quite a good place to start as a unit, as a list, because you get some quite good units out of that especially from Calth. If you take Calth and run Pride of the Legion, I think you can do about 1,500 points straight out of the box with it. So
I imagine that's where our
if you want to
example
play
list will
stuff,
be. Because we will be doing it as the example list is non-Legion specific. I imagine the example list were going to be Pride of the Legion or something like that. Otherwise, we'd have to do 18 different lists at least, which is be silly, and we don't want to get into that kind of detail and minutia, really.
I'm still running bloody Pride of the Legion anyway, so it's a good place to start. And if you're shit at building lists like me, it works.
Did you get that bit right? Did you? No, I'll stop taking a piss out of you now.
No, fuck yeah. Yeah, only because you've written one list, which is Stone Gauntlet, which is just I'll just keep using that.
Anyway,
I'll drop a Leviathan on people.
That's wrong, and then it'll be I'll be just as bad. But that's all right.
Cool. Have we got any more?
No, I think there's a couple more, but they're more kind of thanks for doing the show type of things. I think we've
we'll blow some smoke up our own arses. So cool. All right, guys. Well, if you think of stuff that comes up and you've got questions coming out from this episode, shoot us in. We're going to record likely beginning of January, so there will be a Christmas special, but it's going to be a special needs show. So. Fire us in messages if there's specific stuff we'll answer. We'll try and do maybe more of a listener feedback. Awesome then, guys. We'll leave you with another little break then. I think we've covered quite a lot of ground there. Like I said, it's kind of we wanted to give you a general kind of overview of everything. So cool. Yeah, hit us up if you want to ask specific questions, and hopefully we'll see you in the Facebook groups, guys. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with a closeout.
Lord Marshal, great sir. Legion reinforcements now visible on the left flank.
About time. The wolves, I see.
No, sir. Ultramarines, sir.
But they're wearing grey, Proclamator Fennec.
Fox message said new recruit, sir. No time to paint armour. All Legion reinforcements to the right, sir.
Thank you, Fennec. Good to see the scars correctly presented.
Sorry, sir. It's more Ultramarines. You issue armour, prime white, no time to paint, sir.
Shocking! At least the Raven Guard are in black armour.
Sorry, sir, that's more Ultramarines.
For Emperor's sake, box them and find out why!
Yes, sir. Apparently, also new armour, sir, but the sergeant says it's okay. Their eye lenses are red, and the bolt guns are silver. He said 3 colours minimum, sir.
What the? Get on the Vox now and tell them to contact Miniature Realm Studio.
Miniature Realm Studio, sir?
Yes, Fennec. Miniature Realm Studio offers a commission painting service, competitive rates, and a range of painting standards to suit most budgets and requirements.
Yes, sir. Very good, sir. I suppose they do say that fully painted is for closers.
What does that even mean, Fennec?
I don't know, sir. No one really does, sir.
Miniature Realms Studio can be found on Facebook, on Twitter at Miniature Realms, on Instagram at Miniature Realms Studio, or just drop Stuart an email at miniaturerealmstudio@gmail.com.
Hello, welcome back after that final break. Tom's not with me, he's gone to get some beauty sleep. So he's up at 6 ready for a long drive to go and play his big game he was talking about with the MKA guys and Matt Kane. So looking forward to hearing all about that. Sure there'll be loads of pictures all up on our Geno page and a few of the other places as well. So just going to do some of the shout outs before we shut down and let you guys go and listen to something more interesting. So first of all, I just want to shout out the MKA course that is being held in Sweden. So it's an MKA boot camp. Painting masterclass that's being held in conjunction with the Vangarian Heresy guys, and that's on the 6th of April. I believe there are still spots for that, so you want to head over to the Vangarian Heresy page and find the link and join up if you're looking at doing some awesome airbrushing painting. I really wish I could do one of those. What else have we got? So more Swedish stuff. Scorpius Insurrection. That's in August. And let me see if I can find the exact date for you. Yeah, it's the 12th of August. I think there's still places left at that, so give that a look. Scandus, staying in Sweden, Scandus is on the 7th of October. So that's your big Swedish things. You want to go and get your name down for those as soon as possible before there's no places left. There's a note here to say there's still 5 slots left for the Traitors Rage event on the 28th of January in Harnham Scout Hall, and that's run by the 40k Brawl guys. So again, if you're looking to play some Heresy in the new year, fancy maybe you'll get some painting time over Christmas, and you're thinking you can get a I believe it's 3k army ready for the 28th of January, maybe head over there and sign up. What else have we got coming up? I think that's the things with available spaces anyway. I won't list all the stuff that's already sold out as I have been doing in the last few episodes. I want to give a shout out to the Combat Phase podcast. It's been going a long time. If you guys haven't heard of it before, it's a general wargaming podcast run by Kenny and Robert. They do a great job over there covering lots of game systems. They're big Heresy fans, especially Kenny, at least it comes across that way. Massive Heresy fans, loads and loads of Heresy content. So if you're looking for some extra Heresy content, get over there and have a listen. They do an awful lot of Black Library interviews with authors, more than I think any other cast, definitely more than any of the Heresy casts have done. So I think they pretty much interviewed everyone. I think the last one they've done was ADB. I think that took them a long time to get him on there, but they've finally done it. And then the one before that was Laurie Golding. So really interesting conversations there. Get over there and have a listen to those interviews. They're really good, and they're not too long as well. The cast is sort of 90 minutes, 2 hours max. So it's unlike these horrible long things that we tend to put out. They're a little bit easier to get through. So don't forget to join us on social media. We spoke about it a couple of times already at the top of the show, so I won't bang on too much, but join us on social media. Join our like our page, join our group so you can chat on there. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. Just get engaged and chat with us, ask us questions. We're always happy to answer them on the show if we can. If you're not listening to the following podcast, you should be. You'll have heard these before, but Eye of Horus, the Vangarian Heresy, Age of Darkness podcast, Radio Free Isfahan, which is part of the Forgotten Legion, Northern Heresy, Seize the Initiative, Imperial Truth, Covenant of Fire, Sons of Heresy, and Don't Lose Your Head, or Don't Loose Your Head, as we were talking about earlier. After Ulanor, Loaded Dice, Combat Phase I've just mentioned. Loads and loads of Heresy content out there, so go and fill your ears full of it while you're driving, while you're commuting to work, while you're painting, when you're rocking your toddler to sleep like I do sometimes. Get it, or watch some videos as well, so head over and watch the 30k channel. Try Guerrilla Miniature Games, Mini Wargaming, Geeks 40k. There's lots of good heresy stuff out there, so go and fill your social media with podcasts and videos. Other than that, I will say thanks for listening. Hopefully those sort of more experienced Heresy gamers would have been able to get something from our long intro to Heresy. Probably not as much as newer players. If you have any questions, things to add, please get in touch with us, because we will be doing a follow-up episode. It won't be the next one, because the next one's going to be a bit of a Christmas special, and we're probably going to be a little bit drunken, but it will be our first one in the new year, so the first one we do in January. So things you think we've missed, got wrong, let us know, because we can cover them in the follow-up session, and we will be talking basic lists, starter list, probably Legion, to be honest with you, because that's what people are getting in the Calth and Prospero box sets. But other than that, I will leave you with Nick's music choice. We take it in turns. Nick's not here, but he's still had his music choice. I think this one might have something to do with a certain bomb in an FAQ. Take care. Bye bye.